In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, guys, what's happening? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. I do appreciate you for guys joining me once again. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. How's everybody doing? You guys hanging in there? Huh? You sticking with me? Everybody still fighting? Everybody still kicking in there? It is March 26, 2026, and I appreciate you guys for spending your time here. Happy opening day for the Red Sox fans in the chat. Again, if we can't find some happiness in this godforsaken world, what the hell are we here for, right? So, again, hopefully this is the turning of the tide as far as the weather here in New England as well. But shout out to the chat. Shout out to all the Bostonians. Shout out to all the massholes watching, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Substack, Twitch, wherever you guys are watching from. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000. It's a slow roll. It's a long haul, and it's a tough goal that we set for ourselves. But if we don't set tough goals, what's the point of setting goals at all? So we're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the time we're kicking ass in the midterms. That way we can kind of, get a little bit more weight behind our punches, let's just say. But I appreciate the chat. What do you say we bring in the chat? Speak of the Devils. Say hi to everybody so you guys can get your moment in the sun, your claim to fame here for keeping the show going. What's up, Nick? What's going on, Victor? What's up, Yakov? What's up, my brother? What's up, Rocks? Shout out to the mods there. Appreciate the mods. All you guys do. What's up, Tina, over on Twitch? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Patui? I see you in there. What's up, Gamer? Oh, my dad will be happy. Gamer, we were worried about you. We feel like we haven't seen you in a couple shows. We were ready to send out the patrols. We were ready to send out the search party. So, Dad in the chat, if you're listening, Gamer's here. He's all right. Everybody's set. I appreciate you guys. What's going on, Jen? What's up, Alan? How are you guys? What's up, Alvin? What's up, Flipper? Everybody, welcome in, filter in, hit that like button on the way in. We got a lot to talk about, lot to discuss as usual. There are a couple articles that I want to dive into, a bunch of clips that we have to dive into. There's one here from the New York Times kind of detailing the effectiveness of the Iranian strikes on the U.S. bases, and I think some of these points will probably surprise you. Again, it doesn't seem like, the U.S. troops having to work remotely from these bases because of the danger posed kind of shows that the United States is in control. The way that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump would have you, believe that they're in control of this situation. So we got a New York Times article. There's also an Axios article that I wanted to get into, and a subsequent video by Preston Stewart kind of detailing what that means. So we'll be talking about the Pentagon and how they're detailing and kind of, putting together plans for this final blow, this final assault on Iran, and what that means. We talked about it a little yesterday as far as obviously the Marines that have been deployed, obviously the 82nd and the segments of the 82nd Airborne that have been deployed, and we were kind of speculating yesterday where they would be going, what they would be doing. I know Cog Island has also been a huge target. People have been suspecting that for a long time. Also, those the areas and islands around the Strait of Hormuz. But again, what effect is that going to have? What are the secondary steps? Because even those steps don't seem to have a goal in place. Like if they're putting together plans for this stuff now, clearly this wasn't thought about prior to the, invading Iran or bombing Iran or starting this war. So we'll be talking about that as well. And then we'll be looking at some of Trump's disastrous cabinet meeting, just an absolute farcical show. by these morons. It gets worse. I don't know whether it was his like 5-minute screed on pens or just how absolutely fucking out of shape and like decrepit he looks in front of people, or again, just like the North Korea style ass kissing that you see from the cabinet members. We'll dive back into that. Obviously, we're going to have to take a look at Donald Trump's fake award that he was given. Another fake award just created out of whole cloth, created out of fucking thin air to appease the Fuhrer, right? It's just one of the most sycophantic things you'll ever see in your life. But again, nothing should surprise you when it comes to this administration. We're also going to be looking at a clip. What's the guy's last name there? Adam from the Pretty Big Douchebag podcast, PBD's podcast. I think it's Adam Sosnick. I don't know what the hell the kid's name is, but he gets absolutely destroyed on Piers Morgan's show. So there's a couple clips from that I wanted to look into. And then Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm had a couple good moments on with Rob Schmidt. He absolutely destroys Rob Schmidt on with Newsmax. I think they were talking about the situation in Cuba and kind of the aid and the people that went there to deliver generators and other aid assistance to the people in Cuba. And then if we leave ourselves enough time, which we typically do, we're going to be diving into a little bit of the Ukrainian news. Ukraine had another big night last night as far as drone and missile attacks into the Russian territories or occupied areas. So I want to detail the successes that Ukraine saw overnight and obviously some of the ongoing losses that Russia has been seeing. So all that and more to come today. I do appreciate you guys for spending even a little bit of time here with me. Make that time worth it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 20K. It would be a huge goal, a huge celebration to be had here if we could get to that goal by the time we're kicking ass in midterms. But the first thing I want to start off with, and I do appreciate the chat. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. But the first thing I want to start off with today, can we start off with a couple laughs? Is that okay? Am I allowed? Right? Can we start off with something a little lighthearted, but also on point? Like it's so factual and it's so exactly what we're seeing in reality that it has ruffled the feathers of the Republicans. Boy, oh boy, are they turning into snowflakes. Let me throw this on the screen. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the comedian Drewski. I'm sure to a large extent some of the audience isn't. Drewski is an up-and-coming social media. I don't know if you call him a social media creator, content creator, or a comedian, whatever it is. It's kind of like half and half at this point, but he's gained a lot of notoriety for his skits lately. He did the one where he dressed up as kind of like the redneck and went to the NASCAR events. He's a black man himself, but he dressed up in this like unbelievable like a costume. I don't even know what you call it at this point. He must have had some professional makeup doing this because you couldn't tell he was a black man, put it that way. But he went to the NASCAR and acted like a redneck and just kind of trying to get you acquainted with some of Drewski's work if you're not familiar. But this is what he put out recently, and this has right now, and again, take this with a grain of salt for whatever views mean on fucking this shithole, this Nazi fucking shithole known as Twitter right now. But this has 63 million views. And again, grain of salt. I understand whatever the fuck a view means on Twitter. But again, 63 million anything is a lot. But this is really stirring up a lot of fucking talk and debate on the Republican side. A lot of people are not happy with this representation. This is Drewski, which you can only seem to be is dressed up as Erica Kirk. Okay, this is the only thing that you can take from this. Again, with the fireworks and the WWE show, and he posted this with the title "How Conservative Women in America Act." Oh boy, did they fucking lose their shit. But check out this little skit that he put together and tell me how on point this is, right? Tell me how spot on this is. And again, remember, this is like a 6'3", 6'4" black man dressed as Erica Kirk, and you can't even tell. That's how good this guy's makeup and wardrobe is. I don't know where he's getting it done. But check this out again, going after the conservative women in America, detailing how they act.
Get on your feet, boy!
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
How about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
I don't want to get copyright, so I'm going to mute it just for that section.
Have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God.
It's the eyes. It's the eyes for me, right? We all remember the clip or clips of Erica Kirk. I don't know if she was on with Megyn Kelly, or I think she might have been talking to Barry Weiss at the time, where she had that like ridiculously demonic look in her eyes as she was speaking. And Drewski kind of nails it on this one.
And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha.
Sorry. I'm sorry. It's so spot. It is so spot on. With the dog in the pink phone case, like down to a T, bro. Down to a T.
And Bella will have all organic popcorn.
Oh, it goes on though. It goes on. But the backlash from this, well, I wouldn't even call it backlash, but like the people posting about this is crazy. I don't know if we'll be able to, I don't know if we'll stumble on a few here, but let me see. I'm gonna put it, I'll type in Drewski and see what, because a lot of snowflakes are losing their minds on this on the right side. Like, oh, this is a step too far. When weren't they the ones talking about like comedy should be comedy and shit? Right. Here's one here. The NASCAR video was funny. It was harmless humor, and that's why most white people didn't care. This is too far, though. The blatant racism. You're mocking a widow who had her husband assassinated in front of the world. Imagine a white person dressed up as black liberal women to mock them and posting it on the internet. Again, a lot of people here. Clay Travis had something to say. I think KFC was basically giving him props on the attention it was getting. But a lot of these people just were going after Drewski, continue to go after him for taking it too far. Here's a clip of the NASCAR. Look at this, is him at a NASCAR event. Like, like you just never ever know. It's so well done. It's so well done. Again, whatever you think of them, whatever your opinions are. Again, you have to give them credit on this one. It's just so spot on. It really is exactly what they, what they represent themselves as, like, grieving in 1 second, and then all of a sudden they're out there to this WWE fireworks talking about how much money they've been able to fundraise. Right? It's just it was spot on. So I thought I'd start off the show with that. We can start off in the at least in some good spirits and high spirits as far as that's concerned, because it's always good when the right loses their mind. It's always good to see when they turn into the snowflakes themselves, because that's exactly what they are. They are the most seemingly oppressed religion. They are the seemingly most oppressed race on the fucking planet, if you ask them, which is crazy. You know what I mean? But all right. Let's dive into some of the ongoing nonsense, the ongoing craziness. And we did show this. I just want to play this real quick just to kind of do a refresher, because we did play this yesterday on the show, I know. But this is, again, Donald Trump saying the quiet part out loud real quick, just to get, everybody on the same page in case you weren't here last night or yesterday for the show. This is Donald Trump saying the quiet part out loud, literally coming out and saying we're not calling it a war, because if it was a war, we would have needed congressional approval. And again, that would open us up to ramifications. So we're going to take the page out of Vladimir Putin's playbook and call it a military operation. Again, this is blatantly said in front of cameras, at a podium, with a microphone, by the president of the United States. Like, that's just kind of a summary of where we are in the timeline. This is just a quick refresher.
They don't like to see us succeed. They want to see our country fail. And also, what they really want is they want...
I didn't change that. I don't know what the hell happened on that one, but I didn't change that. But he goes on to talk about how he doesn't want to call it a war, because war would then detail the ramifications and have to go through the necessary steps through Congress in order, to make happen. But then all of a sudden he knows he has to change his mind and change his tune, and he goes back to the Vladimir Putin playbook. So apologize about that. I don't know why the hell that just clearly just switched the clip we were talking about, but I guess we could go into this next one. That won't hurt. This is, again, Donald Trump's, I think this was let me see here. Is this where he gets the present? this where Mike Johnson gives him the present? I think it is. So this is the fake participation trophy. Again, one of the more sycophantic North Korea style moments that you'll ever see come from our government, where the Speaker of the House, okay, this isn't just some fucking, rum bum schlum coming out of nowhere, right, is just here to present the president with some fucking stupid. This is the Speaker of the goddamn House presenting the president, the head of the executive branch, right, with a fake made up award named after Nick Fuentes' new crew that he started. So again, see if you can make heads or tails out of that, right? Why would they choose the America First when that's clearly the established opposition by Nick Fuentes now to the MAGA movement? Again, they probably didn't do their research as far as that's concerned, but this is one of the more embarrassing things probably ever to come out of this, as far as Donald Trump's political fucking, positioning in this country and what he's done to this country since coming into politics. This is one of the more, it's just crazy. It's just fucking, at this point, people making up, peace prizes, people making up different awards, the FIFA award. Like, what are we doing at this point just to appease this child, just to appease this fucking absolute man-child that has no brain whatsoever left in that dense skull of his? Like, he is clearly like the guy at the home, the old person at the home that was somehow let out and walked right into the Oval Office and said, hey, make all the necessary and important decisions for this country. And this is what we get from it. But this is, again, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, blatantly just awarding Donald Trump a fake participation trophy for being the Lord and Savior, for being the dear Führer, right? Just because. Even though he's turned this country into shit, even though he's basically ruined our partnerships and allyships with all of our fucking partners around the world. He's threatened and demeaned basically every race, ethnicity, and marginalized group in this country. I mean, besides all of the things that we could talk about and list as far as his involvement in the Epstein files, or what we call the Donald Trump files, with a side reference, a side mention of Jeffrey Epstein a few times in it. Whether or not it is the sexual assault of E. Jean Carroll, going on to defame E. Jean Carroll, again, trying to overturn a free and fair election, and then attacking the Capitol. There's a million things that we could talk about, but again, go on Mike Johnson about this America First award. Check this out.
You can have a seat. The president is going to address us now, but I did want to give you one more surprise, one more record broken. We were just talking about it a moment ago, and he said, go ahead and tell the people. Last year at this event, we broke the all-time record for the spring dinner at $35 million. And tonight, because of your generosity and because you're a part of this team, we raised $37 million. New record. Thank you.
Is this where he gives him the prize? Or does he come back on? I swear my computer just had a heart attack and did like a total 180 with the clips that I just had put in there, because that wasn't the positioning that I had this clip set up at either. Let me see if I can go back real quick here. I'm going to throw this up there. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to see this Trump award. I don't know why all of a sudden it would just dump that out real quick.
And so tonight we have created.
Yeah, here it is.
Tonight we have created.
Let me throw this on the screen for you guys. To the start at the beginning. It's just a quick clip. I don't know. I saw the length of that and I was like, I don't know where the hell that came from. I only pulled up a short clip. All right, here we go. Here's a little 30-second moment where Mike Johnson literally creates an award out of thin air to appease the dear Führer, the Lord and Savior, his God, Donald Trump.
And so tonight we have created a new award. We're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to honor him with a new award that we'll present annually from this point forward. But he is the suitable and fitting recipient of the first ever America First Award. We can think of no better.
Again, so fucking stupid, right? Just read the room, buddy. Nobody's going to be more happy to hear this than Nick Fuentes is, right? The America First. What is America First about anything that Donald Trump has ever done in his fucking presidency? Ever. What is America First about it? Absolutely nothing, right? He's robbed us blind at every fucking turn. He's tried to steal every election he's been a part of. He sicked his entire fucking base on the Capitol and shit everywhere, broke windows, threatened to kill people, set up the gallows. I mean, tell me what's America First? The rise in gas prices? the steep increase in the price of basically fucking everything since he's taken over in his second term? What is the America First policy exactly that he's initiated? Because I'm still trying to find that.
Title for what that is. That's this beautiful golden statue here, appropriate for the new golden era in America.
Yeah, you guys are feeling that, right? You guys are feeling the new golden era in America. I mean, that's exactly what you guys wake up every single day thinking to yourselves, like, holy shit, it feels great to be in this golden era of America, right? And not waking up every morning like, Jesus Christ, I can't even look at the television. I don't want to open my phone. Like, we are the laughing stock of the fucking planet. There's a target basically painted on every American's back now, no matter where you go throughout the planet, right? Our military is despised at this point. I mean, everything about it says the opposite of what Donald Trump and Mike Johnson and Pete Hegseth are out there trying to present themselves as and present the situation as. It's like the total and complete fucking opposite. People are dragging themselves around nowadays, having to go to work and do the fucking, having to take their kids to this place and that place and whatever, dealing with parents and whatever it may be. Like, people are dragging themselves around, especially when it comes to going to the gas station and filling their fucking car up to get to the next destination. Not only that, but again, the increase in cost and everything that you buy in your daily life is also having an added economic impact as well. But let's dive into a couple of these articles that I wanted to take a look at. This first one being the New York Times article detailing the effectiveness that Iran has had in kind of the destruction that we've seen, not only to the military bases, but the changes in the way that these military bases operate. Again, I think you'll be kind of surprised to see some of the changes that have been initiated on some of these bases because of the effectiveness, because of the danger posed to them. This is by again, from the New York Times. Iran's attacks force U.S. troops to work remotely. Again, that doesn't really detail a military that's in full and total control of all situations, of all theaters of this war right now. Just not what it tells me. Iran has severely damaged several American military bases in the Middle East, officials say. This is from March 25th, so yesterday. Iran has bombed U.S. bases across the Middle East in retaliation for the U.S.-Israeli war, forcing many American troops to relocate to hotels and office spaces throughout the region, according to military personnel and American officials. So now much of the land-based military is, in essence, fighting the war while working remotely. With the exception of fighter pilots and crews operating and maintaining the warplanes and conducting strikes, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has urged people to report these new locations as it hunts for the dispersed troops. U.S. military officials say that a threat is not stopping for the Pentagon from carrying out the war against Iran, which is in its fourth week. It says, quote, to date, we've struck over 7,000 targets across Iran and its military infrastructure, said Pete Hegseth. He then repeated what has become a common refrain in his new briefings. Today will be the largest strike package yet, yada, yada, yada. The same thing he says every single day. But the relocation of troops to makeshift, one official called them alternative sites, raises questions about the Trump administration's preparation for the war. There were close to 40,000 U.S. troops in the region when the war started, and Central Command has dispersed thousands of them. Some of them as far away as Europe, American military officials said, but many have remained in the Middle East, although not on their original bases, military officials said. The result, according to current and former military officials, is a war that is much harder to prosecute. Yes, we have the ability to set up expedient operation centers, but you're absolutely going to lose capability, said Master Sergeant Wes J. Bryant, a retired special operations targeting specialist in the U.S. Air Force. You can't just pull out all that equipment on top of a hotel. For example, some of it unwieldy. U.S. military officials said that the troops are not working from the roofs or of civilian hotels. Iran responded forcefully to the joint American and Israeli strikes, targeting not only U.S. bases, but also U.S. embassies and oil and gas infrastructure throughout the region. With the supreme leader and dozens of others killed, the Iranian regime has retaliated by launching hundreds of drones and missiles into neighboring countries and largely shuttered the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping route, as we've continued to talk about. This is where it gets interesting, though. Many of the 13 bases in the region used by American troops are all but uninhabitable. Again, doesn't seemingly sound like a military that has it all under control and is in complete and total control, again, of all theaters of this war. With the ones in Kuwait, which is next door to Iran, suffering perhaps the most damage. 6 U.S. service members were killed, as we reported, in a strike in the port of Shuaibah that destroyed an Army Technical Operations Center. Iranian drones and missiles also targeted the Ali al-Salem air base, damaging aircraft structures and injuring personnel in Camp, I don't know what that says, Buring. damaging maintenance and fuel facilities. In Qatar, Iran struck the Al Udeid Air Base and the regional air headquarters of the U.S. Central Command, damaging an early warning radar system. In Bahrain, a one-way attack drone struck communications equipment at the headquarters of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. At Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, Iranian missiles and drones damaged communications equipment and several refueling tankers. We showed yesterday that a drone struck, what was it? It was like a $7 or $8 million radar installation. An Iranian-backed militia in Iraq launched a drone swarm attack on an upscale hotel in Erbil earlier in the war. Iranian officials have even accused the U.S. military of using civilians as human shields by putting American troops in hotels. We are forced to identify and target the Americans, the intelligence arm of the IRGC said in a message to the people in the region, according to Tasnim news agency. Therefore, it is not better to shelter them in hotels and to stay away from their locations. Despite a punishing air campaign, the Iranians still retain some capability, General Kane said. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff acknowledged in the Pentagon news conference last week. General Kane said that layered defenses throughout the region were allowing the United States to protect troops and interests, but that the Pentagon was trying to bolster defenses in the region. Again, why would you need why would you need to have the ability to bolster defenses in the region if you had their entirety of their military capabilities kind of wiped out? If they had no way to launch drones, no way to launch missiles, no Air Force, no Navy, no this, no that, why would you now need the ability to go in there and, stack up or stock up on the defenses of these areas? Doesn't make any sense. Nothing that they're saying makes sense. They don't need help, but they do need help. We do need help, but you didn't help. We're mad that you didn't help, but we don't need your help. The war is over, but we need $200 billion. We need $200 billion, but don't worry. We've already killed their entire regime. We've taken out their Navy, their Air Force. But also, this is going to be the largest day of strikes yet. While also we're going to continuously send, troops that are mainly used for boots on the ground activities into the region. But don't worry, the war's over. Everything's all set. We don't have to talk about anything. But also, we're going to work jointly with the Iranians to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Like, the whole thing is nonsense. The whole thing is ridiculous, and it's the total opposite, seemingly in reality and on the ground, to being, compared to what you're being told by the United States regime, by Benjamin Netanyahu and his regime. It's just not stacking up in any regard. And again, that's the reality on the ground. That is planning. That is exit strategy or the lack thereof. That is what this means going forward. This is every aspect of this is totally fucking chaotic. It's a mishap. It's been mishandled. It's totally out of the control of the people that started this. Put it that way. And again, this goes on to detail some of the other attacks and some of the other effects that they've have. There's even, I believe, I'm not sure if it's a New York Times article or Axios. I'm forgetting now. Also detailing the work that that the Russians and the Chinese have been doing with the Iranians. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Let me throw this on the screen because I don't know. I thought I had that pulled up somewhere. Let me see. Thought I had that pulled up somewhere. Let me see. Bear with me. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel while I'm trying to look this up real quick. It was Russia, Iran. I'll just say China. See if that pulls it up. Russia and China loses in Iran war from drones to rocket fuel. China and Russia are helping Iran through supply chains. I don't think this is the exact one that I was talking about, but this might be close enough. Again, I forget where I originally saw that article posted, but this might be close enough to that. Let me see if I can throw this on the screen as well. Let me see if I can throw this up there. All right, so this is from the Atlantic Council, but it's also detailing what I believe one of the more prominent and mainstream articles sources we're talking about as well. From drones to rocket fuel, China and Russia are helping Iran through supply chains. Again, this goes on to even suggest and talk about how, the targeting and the effectiveness of not only the U.S. bases, the effectiveness of getting through the Iron Dome, the effectiveness of getting around the U.S. air defense systems, whichever are in place, is also coming from the help and the relationship, between Russia, China, and Iran. Which again, we've also talked about how Russia is laughing its way now, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense now because I'm not on the vertical and it still muted me. All right, so we're learning things. We're learning things here, people. We're learning things. You think by the time we get to 20,000 subscribers, we should have this figured out. we should have this down pat by. Oh, my God. All right, I'm putting it on. I'm putting it on this screen because it seems like everything on this screen gets muted for some reason. I have absolutely no idea why. I'm still not sure why. I was pretty sure it was because I was streaming vertically on YouTube, but since I'm not doing that right now, I don't think that's the case. Unless am I? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We'll get it by 20K, people. we'll get it by the time we get to 20K. But again, to detail the ongoing support by Russia, by China for the Iranians and helping them target U.S. bases, helping them target U.S. troops, helping them fucking, get around the air defenses, get through the Iron Dome. I mean, this is, again, as Donald Trump continues to do favor after favor to be buddy with Vladimir Putin, to fail to put the pressure necessary on Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine. But no, he lifts the sanctions. He allows them to make a couple of extra bucks. He allows Iran to sell the oil that they got going on. But don't worry, we received allegedly a couple ships full of oil. And that's the big present that Donald Trump got in return. It was a bunch of ships filled with oil from some anonymous group, apparently. Again, this is the ridiculousness of the situation that we're in right now. Like, that was announced by Donald Trump. The big present that he got was from some, like, secret group that sent him 8 or 10 ships filled with oil. Like, I don't know. You fucking make of it what you want. I don't fucking know at this point. Like, he's probably delusional. He's probably having dreams. And he's probably seeing this shit in his sleep whenever he does manage to get a minute or two when he's not wide awake staring at the ceiling because of the fucking drugs he's fucking hopped up on, right? But anyway, when he does manage to get a blink or two, this is probably what he's seeing in his demented little soul, in his demented little head that he's got there. And he's waking up like, yeah, we had these great talks, but shit, they sent us 8 fucking ships full of oil. We don't know who sent it, but it means they're good people. Like, unbelievable, this asshole. It really is. It really is. But again, we continue to detail the involvement of the Russians. We continue to detail the lack of being able to establish or recognize that by our government. I remember early on when this was conducted, Pete Hegseth was asked directly, do you have any statement? Do you have any statement or comment for Russia or China, who would be maybe thinking about helping Iran or getting involved directly? And Pete Hegseth, and I'm paraphrasing, said, basically, this doesn't involve them. We have no message for them whatsoever. We're focused on, whatever mission is at hand. And again, just a complete wrong message to send. Should have been at that moment where we decisively put more pressure on our enemies, on the people looking to do us harm. Like, wouldn't that be the moment right there? Again, if you're trying to project strength, maybe no, we don't have a statement. Maybe no, they're not involved when we know that they are involved is probably not the right fucking statement to make in that situation. All right, we go on. The next clip that I wanted to talk about, because this is Preston Stewart detailing a little bit more about, did we go into the act? No, I didn't go into this one. Let's go into this clip real quick. Let's go into this article because the subsequent video has to do with this. Again, this is an Axios article. I think this is about 10 or 8 hours ago. It says it came out, and it's by Barak Ravid, and it details the Pentagon's preparations for a massive final blow of Iran. And again, we need to jump into this and make sure that we're kind of staying on top of whatever fucking ridiculous plans they're coming up with now. Again, if that's almost decisively going to include boots on the ground at this point. I know there's been speculatory talk on what islands they're going to possibly look at, what the exact targets may be, and then what the fucking goal is after that, besides just having a shitload of U.S. troops really close to Iran, where Iran can lob missiles and drones into that area. Again, there's no question that the United States military can, if they decide to, take these islands or take Karg Island or whatever, but for what? Why? What's the goal? What's the intent? Do you understand the danger posed to the U.S. military people that would be stationed on these islands and having to, again, hold the territory for whatever the mission is after that? But this is Axios detailing exactly what their plans might be. The Pentagon is developing military options for a, quote, final blow in Iran that could include the use of ground forces and a massive bombing campaign, according to 2 U.S. officials and 2 sources with knowledge. Why it matters. A dramatic military escalation will grow more likely if no progress is made in diplomatic talks and, in particular, if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Some U.S. officials think that a crushing show of force to conclude the fighting would create more leverage in peace talks or simply give Trump something to point to and declare victory. So, again, this is basically just a baby given, a gun and said, here, play with this. It'll kind of distract you. And maybe if you put a hole in that wall right there to give you something to talk about, maybe you can kind of claim that as a victory in this. But again, it's definitely not going to be this like show of force that's going to make the Iranians capitulate. Like, they're not going to throw in the towel at this point. They're not going to give up that, the choke point. They're not going to give up that one bit of leverage that has been so effective so far, which is them controlling the Strait of Hormuz. And again, even if they wanted to further that and have the Houthis control the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which would have bigger ramifications onto the global economy, global shipping, and what you're paying for your goods. And this says here, between the lines, Iran also has a say in how the war ends, and many of the scenarios under the discussion would risk prolonging and intensifying the fight rather than bringing it to a dramatic conclusion. In interviews with Axios officials and sources familiar with the internal discussions, describe 4 major final blow options Trump could choose from. 1, invading or blockading Kharg Island, Iran's main oil export hub. 2, invading Larak, an island that helps Iran solidify its control on the Strait of Hormuz. Remember yesterday we were talking about this? We were speculating whether or not it was going to be Kharg Island up in the north, or again, it made sense to me. I said yesterday that it would more likely be some of these surrounding islands where Iran is known to have bases and known to have launched different drone attacks from that were going into the strait. Like, that would make a lot more sense than Kharg Island. Again, whether it's just to go into Kharg Island and take over what oil may be there to, again, ease the price of oil on the world economy and to kind of get that flowing into the world shipment. I'm not sure, but how long is that going to last? What danger, again, is posed to the troops that will be on the island? What state will the Iranians leave the island in? In fact, they do see that the U.S. troops have, kind of pushed the go button, and that's in fact what the mission will be. I have no doubts that the Iranians will probably launch some sort of scorched earth policy and maybe launch on their own island, maybe destroy their own oil facilities before they'd allow the United States to get control of them. That's just my guess. That's just from what I've seen, and their kind of, their inability or their lack of willingness to kind of, play ball or go along with whatever Donald Trump wants them to do in this regard. They're pretty much ready to give the United States the middle finger at every turn, and that would be, again, a good way to give Donald Trump the middle finger. And in fact, they did see the intelligence to suggest that the United States was in fact going for Kharg Island or any one of these places. They would in fact probably, go scorched earth in that regard. So 3, it goes on to say that 2, to end 2, it says the strategic outpost hosts Iranian bunkers, attack craft that can blow up cargo ships, and radars that monitor movements in the strait, which is again why I was saying yesterday that seems to make a lot more sense than anything further north. But this goes on to say 3, seizing the strategic island of Abu Musa and 2 smaller islands which lie near the western entrance to the strait and are controlled by Iran, but also claimed by the UAE. Again, makes more sense to me in that regard. Being, the main issue right now that we're facing is the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The blocking or seizing of ships that are exporting Iranian oil on the eastern side of the Hormuz Strait was number 4. The intrigue. The U.S. military also is prepared for ground operations deep inside the interior of Iran to secure the highly enriched uranium buried within nuclear facilities. And that is a huge fucking difference, right? That is a massive, massive difference right there, just that one statement, rather than, going and sending 5 or 8 or 10,000 troops onto Kharg Island or, any one of these smaller islands inside of the Strait of Hormuz or surrounding the Strait of Hormuz and trying to occupy and hold that territory. Like, this is a fucking massively different, undertaking, a massively different goal and intent to go through and deep into the, the territory of Iran, the mainland of Iran. We're talking about security forces that would need to be deployed. We're talking about the infrastructure to house and to maintain the troops. And again, would need troops at a much higher level right now, I would suspect, in my opinion, again, without being a military expert or anything like it, I would suspect it would need a lot more troops in the area than what we have there now. I know we've continuously talked about the 5 or so thousand Marines, and again the segments of the 82nd, but that's not enough to go into Iran and start taking over territory and pushing, some 200, 300, 400 miles into greater Iran to make sure that you can secure these sites, get whatever facilities under your control that you want under your control. Like, that's a huge fucking undertaking and massively different than anything that we've been undertaking from the air, right? I know a lot of experts, I forget exactly what they call it, but they, you kind of get sucked into the power of the air war. And it seemingly sounds like and looks like you're unstoppable, even though we've pointed out many times, not only planes that have been struck, they continue to have, surface-to-air missiles that are targeting our planes. So clearly the capabilities by Iran are still there. Clearly the surface-to-air missiles are still there and can be shot, along with the drones and along with the, the guided missiles and shit. We continue to have to show that only because you're lied to on a daily basis, basically by the minute, by this government that we have in charge right now. But what the hell is the problem with, what's the difference between, taking these islands and sending the troops in? People will ask. It's a fucking massive difference. And this goes on to talk about the intrigue here. It says, instead of conducting such a complicated and risky operation, the U.S. could instead carry out large-scale airstrikes on the facilities to try to prevent Iran from ever accessing the material. Again, there was a good clip that I saw. I forget where I saw it, but one of the experts talking about this was pretty adamant in saying, you'll never be able to stop Iran from launching another drone. You'll never in a million years be able to stop 100% Iran from launching another missile. They will always have the ability to rebuild. They will always have the knowledge and the capabilities. Like, again, this is not something that you can eradicate 100%. We've taken down their capabilities some fucking 70 or 80%, and we're still seeing the effect on the world economy. We're still seeing their success as far as having this ploy, this plot, this plan to close the Strait of Hormuz and creating pressure on the world economy. Like, we've seen the success of that already. Like, it doesn't take a joker to see what you're paying at the gas pump right now. So this goes on to talk about the reality check. Trump hasn't made any decision yet on pursuing any of these scenarios, as White House officials describe any potential ground operations as, quote, hypothetical. But sources say he's ready to escalate if talks with Iran don't yield tangible results soon. Trump could first implement his threat to bomb power plants and energy facilities again, like he did, clear and blatant war crime, for which Iran has threatened massive retaliation across the Gulf, which would have huge secondary impacts and ramifications to you. White House Press Secretary KKK Caroline Leavitt warned Iran on Wednesday that Trump is, quote, ready to strike harder than ever before if no deal can be reached. The president doesn't bluff and he is ready to unleash hell. Iran shouldn't miscalculate again. Any violence beyond this point will be because the Iranian regime, which again they say has been totally replaced, but seemingly the same kind of actions, the same kind of relationship, if not worse, a relationship now in action, refuses to come to a deal. And again, this goes on to talk about the 82nd Airborne and kind of what we're looking at as far as troops in the area. What I want to do is dive into this Preston Stewart video where he kind of details basically this specific article and then goes into further detail about what might come from this, kind of what the risks are, what the benefits, if any, would be, what the goals, what the intents are, if kind of that's been announced by anybody, because it's not very clear to even the experts that have been covering this relentlessly, still have no goals in mind. They have nothing really concrete that is coming from this administration as far as, evidence or intel or anything to suggest like, specific goals mandated that would, give us the ability to take our troops out of the area and to declare success or to declare victory. But again, here's Preston Stewart. This is titled Iran, Israel, and U.S. Hint at Ground Mission. 4 Key Options Revealed. See if we can dive into this real quick. I do appreciate you guys, as always, for joining me. Let me go full screen because you guys deserve the full screen me when I say this. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day and spending, I don't know if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, or the whole show here, but I know the time that you have in your day is the most important thing to you. So I appreciate you guys sharing even a little bit of that here with me. Make that worthwhile. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you find yourself coming back. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're watching, if you find a generous and a welcoming community in the chat over there, make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right, let's get into this. I do appreciate you guys. This is again Preston Stewart. Shout out Preston.
Now, Axios overnight reported that the Pentagon is developing military options for a final blow in Iran that could include the use of ground forces and a massive bombing campaign. They say that's according to 2 U.S. officials and 2 sources familiar with the knowledge. They say in the interviews with Axios, they say there are 4 final blow options that Trump could choose from. And for this, we're going to pull up a map of Iran to show you a couple different areas they're talking about. So starting here with the Persian Gulf in the middle of the screen, Iran to the north-northwest. They say the first is invading or blockading Hard Island, Iran's main oil export hub. So that is up here in the northern portion of the Persian Gulf. We'll get zoomed in here as best we can. So this is Harg Island, major oil terminal for any Iranian exports coming out of the region. Second is invading Iraq, an island that they say helps Iran solidify its control in the Strait of Hormuz. The strategic outpost hosts Iranian bunkers, attack craft that can blow up cargo ships.
And again, these are the
rape-
ones that I was suggesting yesterday would make, a substantial more sense to me to, if they were going to, attack or put boots on the ground or expend, the military resources to try to gain control over. Like, it wouldn't make much sense to me, again, unless you're just trying to hope for, getting and controlling whatever oil is on Harg Island and getting that into, kind of the oil infrastructure to make sure that we can keep the price as low as possible. Or, it's just kind of, we want to take any territory. That seems to be the easiest, and we don't care the risk to our military service members that are end up stationed on that island in the proximity that they have to the Iranian mainland. But again, these islands here that you can see kind of just above here, these seemingly are the more likely, I would think, in my opinion, again, not that this military or this government does anything that's like the likely option whatsoever, but this would kind of be, what you would look to do in a normal circumstance as far as, trying to gain back control over the strait. But again, nothing said yet as far as what the next step would be. If that, is the United States Navy escorting ships through, or if we intend on gaining and, controlling all of the surrounding regions around the Strait of Hormuz, and then we would be able to have control. I'm not sure. Nobody said anything yet, but let's see if this is detailing any of that.
Radars that monitor movements of the strait. So zooming in here, we're talking about this island just off the coast. As you can see a little bit better here. So it is kind of the island at the narrowest point in the strait. Doesn't look like there's an awful lot on this island, at least compared to Harg, a little further north. They say it's also possible, the third option here, seizing the strategic island of Abu Musa and two smaller islands, which lie near the western entrance to the strait and are controlled by Iran, but also claimed by the UAE. So that's these islands here. We'll go out just a little bit so we can see this. The entrance to,
and again, not to suggest that we don't have the capabilities and the U.S. military isn't capable of taking these, but to suggest that it would be in any way a cakewalk, or again, this is going to be like a kind of Maduro style Venezuela where you're going to see the low flying helicopters, just carrying troops in and deploying them and letting them down easy with no shots fired. Like, I don't think that's exactly what we're going to expect or can expect from the Iranians, if in fact they do enact this fucking final blow, mission that they're trying to get done here. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be, welcomed. I don't think they're going to be, met with resounding applause. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than it was what we saw in, again, getting our troops into Venezuela and getting them back out.
Or really coming at this strait from the west, or anything coming in from the east after they make that bend. Abu Musa, again, does not look like there's an awful lot on this island. Zoom in. There we go, a little airstrip right in the middle. So a little larger buildup than we saw over on Iraq, not quite to the same extent that we saw at Harg Island. And then lastly, the fourth option that Axios laid out was blocking or seizing ships that are exporting Iranian oil on the eastern side of the Strait of Hormuz. So putting ships over in this vicinity here, the Gulf of Oman, trying to seize and possibly board Iranian vessels. And Iran in recent days has kind of opened the Strait of Hormuz. So what they have said just last night, the foreign minister talked about allowing oil exports or any shipments from Iran and their allies. So we've got, I want to say, China, Iraq.
Yeah, but that has been something that they've consistently said, right? They have consistently said that the strait's not closed. Like, just, feel free, just go at your own risk. Any of the partnerships, any of the people that have contracts and different relationships with the IRGC, like, they've been allowed to go. Like, we've been consistently seeing different ships flying different flags that have been getting through the Strait of Hormuz. But again, they've been saying, basically the United States, the Western allies, and any of those people that are benefiting from the ships going through there, just do it at your own risk. Basically, they've said that kind of the entire time.
Russia is probably included in that. I'm not sure if they've got any tankers currently in the Persian Gulf, but Iran is able to choose who they're letting through. So one of these scenarios for moving ground forces
again,
into the
showing
region,
direct control, right? Showing that the United States isn't in control of that situation, much like the leadership, Pete Hegseth and Kane and Donald Trump would have you believe.
The Marines that are on their way, the 82nd Airborne that got the notification a couple days ago, is using them in this portion of the Gulf of Oman to seize those tankers as they try to exit the area. A challenge with that is we have moved most of our naval vessels a good ways away from Iran. President Trump, I'm not sure he meant to say this the other day because the second day he walked it back, but he said that one of our aircraft carriers had successfully intercepted or evaded over 100 Iranian missiles. That's the first indication that Iran has been regularly attacking.
And I think that was the Abraham Lincoln, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the report we talked about the other day on the show of the launch or the attempted attack on I think it was the USS Abraham Lincoln. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong.
Naval vessels in the region. There's a couple different ways to look at that. One, of course, holy cow. The sailors on that ship, or the number of ships involved in that defense, are experiencing incoming fire that no Americans at sea have faced, probably since World War II. So that's crazy. Can't wait to get more details on that. Of course,
again, just to reiterate what he's saying there, that the people on this aircraft carrier faced an incoming fire not seen by any fucking naval personnel since World War II, or probably before then or after then, I should say. But still, not in a long time have people, especially U.S. naval personnel, been under fire like that. Is basically the point that he's making.
Impressive that they've been able to either evade or intercept all of those munitions, but it also shows that Iran is playing their part right now at keeping the United States Navy at bay. So it has pushed back U.S. Navy forces a good distance from Iran as is.
And again, not showing complete control, guys. That's the whole point of this. This is the whole exercise that we go through every single day. The lies, the propaganda that you're being told is it's not lining up. It's not matching up with reality. Okay. Nothing that you're being told, nothing that you're fucking being lied to about, nothing about on the right-wing propaganda networks, nothing in these fucking, these cabinet meetings or the press conferences that you're being told is the goddamn truth. Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing about it. It's not lining up, doesn't add up, not matching up, whatever you want to say. It's not. It's not. And again, we have ample videos and pieces of evidence to suggest exactly that. But again, I wanted to dive into just a minute or two, if I could, of the most ridiculous cabinet meetings that have ever been held at the White House. Again, when you're going into 2 and 3 minute long screeds about pens, when we have, actions about, U.S. service members putting boots potentially on the ground of Iranian soil at the same time as this shit's going on, it's just wild. But he also has a couple statements in here about the war in Iran. So let's just see if we can dive into the first minute or two of this. We'll see if we can stomach as much as we could possibly stomach. But a couple of these moments it's so fucking embarrassing. Like, I'm almost excited for James O'Brien's response to this on LBC, because he's going to be using this and he's going to be loving this and he's going to be hooting and hollering. So let's see if we can dive into just a minute or two of this so I can show you the craziness that took place in his cabinet meeting.
Are you all ready? A lot of media, as usual. So thank you to the incredible members of my cabinet. They're doing a phenomenal job. Everybody pretty much agrees to that, including our newest member, Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, that dipshit. Remember that dipshit that was sworn in? Jesus Christ. Again, another piece of evidence to suggest the ridiculousness of the timeline we live in. Mark Wayne Mullen. Here's another piece.
And we all know him very well, and he was a very popular senator, very effective senator. Effective probably being the more important.
Yeah.
Disgraceful Democrat shutdown of Mark Wayne's department. Congratulations. You came into a department that shut down by the radical Democrats, right?
Yeah, again, which is ridiculous to continue to say after we just saw Kennedy go on Fox and be like, no, it was Donald Trump that inevitably said, no, we don't want to continue funding, or we don't want to fund the TSA. When the Democrats have put forth about 6 or 7 different pieces of legislation to fund those areas of the government, but to keep ICE in that separate and to figure out that a little bit down the line, right? Like that's kind of what was happening. You had Kennedy go on and say, me and Ted Cruz said this is something we should accept, but it was Donald Trump that said inevitably, no, we're not going to take any deals with the Democrats. So again, the fact that he even thinks he can come on TV and bullshit like this, after again his spot has been so blown up by Kennedy, and that the evidence and the truth has been revealed on exactly who's responsible for continuing the nonsense, the chaos, and the shutdowns that we've seen, is this asshole right here.
The Democrats are really punishing the American people. I saw it today on one of the shows where they were interviewing people at the airport, and they're all angry at the Democrats.
Yeah, they were. The Democrats that have absolutely no control right now inside of the government. The opposite of the party that controls the Supreme Court, the executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, right? What else do you need besides the FBI, the DOJ, the Pentagon? I'm just curious. At what point, like, what control? How much control do you need before it is your fault? I'm just saying. How many times do you need to say no to the funding of the TSA agents before it becomes directly your fault? I'm just, these are just questions. I know these are questions, but I think they're, reasonable questions.
They're actually angry at Schumer. I didn't think anyone knew his name. One woman said, that Schumer is disgraceful. He's a disgrace to our country. But they're angry at the Democrats. They know what's happening. But they're punishing the American people, including travelers at airports, all in the quest to return to open borders and give amnesty to illegal alien criminals. They want to give amnesty to some of the criminals that came into our country.
He thinks if he says it again, but he rewords it a little bit, that somehow makes it true. But again, no, absolutely not.
All of them, actually, if you look at it. They love sanctuary cities, which is a sanctuary for criminals. They want to make sure they're taken care of. That's what we're fighting about. That's really what they're fighting. They don't talk about that, but that's what they're fighting about. They want to protect criminals. In many cases, 11,888 murders. Many of them, I will say, are gone now.
Again, says the guy now protecting everybody associated and affiliated with him inside of the Donald Trump files that kind of have a few mentions, a few references to Jeffrey Epstein in there. This is the guy that has the 34 felony accounts, the same guy that was found liable for sexual assault against E. Jean Carroll and then went on to defame E. Jean Carroll twice after that, right? This is the same guy that's now going to come out and try to say this as far as protecting criminals, the same guy that said he was going to round up criminals, but has rounded up everybody pretty much in this country besides the fucking the rapists and the murderers and the gangbangers and the drug dealers. He's done everything but this motherfucker, again, it's just, fuck this guy.
Because of us, we got him out. But still have some left. Should have never happened, should have never been allowed to come into our country. But we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let the Democrats get away with this stuff, and people are wise to them. So they need to end the shutdown immediately, or we'll have to take some very drastic measures. This morning, I want to give an update on the Operation Epic Fury.
And again, we'll just let him finish with his bullshit here. We'll call it out, and then we'll move on. Again, we can only stomach so much of this asshole at one shot.
Which is an appropriate name because we are absolutely obliterating them. Over the past 3 weeks, we've been hitting Iran's military capabilities at a level that few people have ever seen before. People never knew there was such a capability. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world by far. I built it during my first administration, and I used it during my second administration.
And now he's watching it be destroyed to some extent, as far as we just were reporting, as far as the effectiveness and the damage done and seen and the changes having to be made to the way that the military bases in the region actually operate. So again, to detail exactly everything that this guy is saying is the total and complete opposite, or at least the goals or the outcome of these are the exact opposite of the outcomes that he had initially told us were going to be in place. Again, all you got to do is listen to the bullshit that he's saying.
Unfortunately, because I'd rather not have to use it. But it's a display of force and precision and skill like nothing the world has really witnessed, although you got a pretty good witnessing of it in Venezuela also. That was a smaller version of what we're doing now. We're crushing their missiles and drone stockpiles, destroying the defense industrial base. We've wiped out their...
Wait a minute. I thought you did that in the first 2 days. I thought the missiles were all done in the first 2 days. There was absolutely nothing else that they could do. Their military capabilities were completely fucking wiped out. And again, we don't have to go into too much more of this. It's just, it's almost unbearable to watch at this point. It's unbearable to listen to. But again, it's one of those things where if you don't really see it firsthand and continue to be like, oh my God, we have to call this shit out, then it kind of gets swept under the rug. And that's something we don't want to have happen. We want to make sure that we're ready and prepared for any of the bullshit this guy's about to, or ready or prepared to enact. Because of the ramifications, the repercussions, the secondary effects that you guys will inevitably see, that everybody here will inevitably see from those actions. We want to be prepared. We want to be ready. And unfortunately, it takes kind of listening to some of the assholes' rhetoric and calling it out as far as being prepared. But all right, let's dive into some of the other clips that I wanted to take a look at today, because a few of these are doozies. They really are. There's a few doozies here, and we're kind of be going kind of back and forth on some of these topics. Some of them are pertaining to the war in Iran. Some of these clips, one of these clips is about what's taking place or could take place in Cuba and watching Rob Schmidt get demolished. And then, like I said, to finish it off today, we got a couple clips pertaining to the effectiveness of the strikes overnight in the last couple days by Ukraine. So we could start with this is a quick one. We don't have to dive into much of this, but this is kind of detailing again the ongoing battles. The ongoing split in the MAGA, the Republican, the GOP commentary, the kind of the Groyper in the MAGA civil war that we've seen ongoing. Again, this is Nick Fuentes here, avid Nazi, self-proclaimed racist, self-proclaimed bigot, self-proclaimed homophobe, all of the above. He is an absolute piece of shit. But again, here he is kind of detailing. And again, it's amazing how they have to come out and basically sound like people on the left if they actually want to tell the truth, right? And here he's calling out Trump's lie for, I think, kind of Trump's bullshit about lying about a deal with Iran. And again, we don't need to dive into too much of this. I think the first minute will kind of give us the idea, the generalization of, again, the ongoing battle, the ongoing feud. And as you can see, again, what do you see here in the hat? What's that hat say? America First, which is, again, the name of the award that Mike Johnson just gave and made up for Donald Trump. Again, just showing the complete and total lack of knowledge of the fight going on behind the scenes. It is pretty crazy. But again, just to kind of listen to how far the MAGA base and how far the right-wing commentary people have fallen. And again, how much they are battling with each other and how much they're calling for basically the removal of Donald Trump at this point. They're calling for impeachment. They're calling for everything under the sun at this point. So just to show you and to highlight, this is still ongoing, is not subsiding anytime soon. And again, as we head into the midterm elections, shit like this is inevitably going to come to a head, right? This is going to have huge ramifications as far as, again, allowing us the airwaves, allowing us the ability to speak and get our points out there and to call out this bullshit, where, again, a lot of the time going into elections was spent combating the right-wing commentary, the right-wing podcasters, bullshit and lies and propaganda that they were spreading about Democrats or about Democratic politicians or about Democratic policies. That's not really what we're seeing, right? We're still seeing, to a large extent, kind of those sycophants in the MAGA base supporting anything that Donald Trump does, but they don't have this crutch to hold on to anymore. They don't have this crutch to kind of to build them up, so to speak, and to go after their opponents and to make it easier for them to propagandize the people when in fact they're all fighting with each other. So again, these are all incredible assholes. I think there's another one in here detailing some of Marjorie Taylor Greene's. Let me see. I thought I had that too. Yeah, we have this one too coming up. From the I've Had It ladies, where I believe they go into some of Marjorie Taylor Greene's recent statements as well. So where she's kind of tearing into the rest of MAGA. So again, just trying to highlight these decrepit, individuals to our political benefit to make sure that we're highlighting the people that used to be the most sycophantic, the people that are directly responsible for getting into this position have now completely, like rats from a sinking ship, jumped from that MAGA bus, jumped from that MAGA cult. And again, here's just one of those examples. Here's just a minute of this.
Trump chickened out. And so this morning, it did surprise me, actually. Trump came out this morning and said, actually, we're going to postpone the deadline. We're going to give Iran 5 days. If Iran doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz within the new timeline, which is by the end of this week, then we will carry out the strikes. He said, but we're postponing it because we're actually making progress on a deal. Trump says that his administration has spoken to the Iranian regime and they have made progress.
Can't say who, though. He doesn't say who. He says the regime, but he didn't say it was the regime. It's not the regime that's in place because it's other people that he can't talk about because he's afraid that they're going to be killed either by the United States or Israel. Makes sense of that. If they're the people willing to talk and negotiate, why would Israel continue to assassinate these people? Again, I think there was another Iranian leader that was taken out. I want to say he was kind of relating to the Navy, if I'm not mistaken, as far as that's concerned. But again, this is just Israel considering just killing for the fun of it at this point. Because again, that is going to have no broader effect on the Strait of Hormuz. That's going to have no broader effect on the war at large. It's not going to have no broader effect on the secondary impacts. Again, this is just Israel going out there and killing for fun, as we know they love to do. But, this is Fuentes, again, continuing to call out Trump for what he calls chickening out, but what we called market manipulation to allow billions to be made in the back end.
For a deal, one where the U.S. and Iran might actually work together. And Trump also implied that the deal is almost finalized. He said that every point of agreement, or rather every point of contention, has been resolved. And they agree on all the fundamentals. And Iran has agreed to share the strait and give up nuclear enrichment and give up their highly enriched material and all these things. And this is just, in the first place, who even believes this? At 7:30 a.m., Trump comes out in the press pool and on Truth Social, and first of all says, never mind, forget the 48-hour deadline. We're postponing it by 5 days.
So again, these are the people that were most willing to buy Donald Trump's bullshit, the most willing to perpetuate the lies and the propaganda, or at least at the least willing to do the bidding of the Republican Party to demonize the Democrats and to make sure that a Republican got into power. Like, these are the same people, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Candace Owens, the Tim Pools, the Benny Johnsons, even though Benny Johnson's kind of resided now to his fate of just kind of hanging on to Donald Trump's fucking coattails until it goes right into the grave. Because he's kind of tossed in the towel. But again, these are the idiots, the same sycophants that are responsible for getting us into these positions that are now seemingly being like, so able and willing and likely to call out Donald Trump's bullshit. It's like, you didn't see this before? You didn't see this in like the January 6th? You didn't see this with like the sexual assault allegations? You didn't see this with like the grab the women by the crotch without consent? You didn't see any of this coming? Really? You still voted for and demonized Democrats to make sure that a Republican, Donald Trump in particular, got back into power? Like, you don't see the problem with that? Again, doing the Tim Pool and trying to report like he's not involved in any way or affiliated in any way with this, or he doesn't have any responsibility in this, is kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? But it goes on there. That was about a 5-minute clip. We don't have to dive into too much more of that. There's actually a few of those kind of circulating around at this point. I think there's one where Nick Fuentes even says he wants Obama back. Like, that's how bad it's gotten for these fucking bastards. Like, at this point, like, again, to talk about things that these idiots didn't have on their 2026 bingo cards as far as things that they would have to say, or, thumbnails that they would have to write, or titles to the videos that they would have to name it. We looked at Tim Pool's page yesterday, and it's basically all bad. Nothing good. It's all doom and gloom. This is horrible. This is a bad sign. Trump loses the district that Mar-a-Lago's in. The war with Iran could end the world. Like, is that why you voted for him? Is that why you decided to go full out and take all the Kremlin-backed rubles that you got to make sure that Donald Trump got into power? Was that fucking rubles well spent there, Timmy? How about there, Benny? Are you guys happy with your decision now? You guys ready for those consequences? All right, so just kind of switching gears just a little bit here. This was another clip from Piers Morgan's show that was kind of making the rounds. That's not him, but this is. So I wanted to kind of dive into this because I'm not sure if anybody's too familiar with who Dave Smith is. Dave Smith, he's kind of a comedian that I've never seen actually do comedy at this point in time. He's kind of got every now and again some good points, some good statements as it pertains to, Israel and their love for genocide and stuff like that. But definitely no, friend of the left whatsoever. But even he now is shitting on, what's this guy's name? Adam Sosnick. I think it's something like that, who comes from the Pretty Big Douchebag podcast, also known as the Patrick Bet David podcast. So he gets absolutely demolished here by Dave. And again, no friend of ours, but credit where credit is due as far as, undressing Adam in this clip. Does a very good job at it, does a very good job of calling out the bullshit and kind of making Adam look very, very small and insignificant as far as this is concerned. So I just wanted to play a couple minutes of this interaction. Not only does Piers Morgan also continue to show his kind of second guessing at best of what Donald Trump has undertaken and how detrimental it's going to be, not only for the United States, but also Republicans going into midterms, which is another aspect of this clip. But again, listen to the bullshit from Adam and how it's called out by Dave, rightly so. And I don't know if we'll get into the more explosive parts in this, because I'm not going to subject you to too much of it. But again, there's a few moments in here where Adam, it looks like an idiot. Let's just say that. All right, so let's dive into just a minute or two of this. If we can. And they're discussing, obviously, the war in Iran, Donald Trump's lies, just to set some context here.
The way this war is playing out. Dave, I've really struggled to work out the upside for Donald Trump from the start of this. Doing this so close to the midterms, doing exactly what he said he wouldn't do, which is he was going to stop attacking Middle Eastern countries. It was all going to be America first, a premium on sorting out American problems in America. And then suddenly he launches a war on one of the biggest countries in the Middle East, certainly one of the best armed. And all hell has broken loose, not least to the global economy, which is inevitably going to have, and already is having, a very detrimental effect on living standards for average Americans. If I'm an American that voted for Trump, I'm like, I don't get this. You know, I might in a poll say,
And again, that is kind of the extent of the pushback. That's about as strong a pushback as you're going to get from Piers Morgan, who has more consistently done this mealy mouth pushback, kind of this like, I want to say it just so I can be on record saying I was against this type of stuff. But he's been more likely. He's been doing it more consistently on his show. Again, no flowers or credit or, respect, for Piers or anything like that. But, to a certain extent, he's been more willing to at least bring up his displeasure and his kind of, his worry about what's been taking place and what the ramifications could be. But let's see if we can get into the reaction in the commentary from these two.
But I don't think I really get it.
Yeah, and then you also have to consider there, Piers, right? Like there's a sizable percentage of people who support Donald Trump, who approve of the job broadly that he's been doing, who maybe, look, we're 3 weeks or whatever into this, go, all right, I'll kind of give him a chance. We'll see. But if this doesn't turn into any type of win, and if it turns into a clear disaster, which it already seems to be, that's only going to hurt him more and more and more. I think, look, Piers, it's despite the fact that it is not in my incentives in some way as like a political commentator, like I hope this whole thing just works out great. And then I know that all the people who don't like me will say, ha ha, you were warning that this would be a disaster. I hope that I would much rather take that deal and live in that. But Piers, the other element there is that, right, we had the 12-day war in the summer. And I've certainly heard, I heard at the time, some on debates that we did on your show and others. And I've heard nothing but since then on social media that, you guys were so stupid. You were warning about exactly what we're seeing right now, which is what all of us were warning about who are critics of the 12-day war. And Iran didn't do that. And they were like, look, we got away with it. One and done. No Americans dead. And that's it. We don't have to do anything else. They spent the following 6 months bragging about how the nuclear threat had been totally obliterated. Now we find ourselves, Piers, back in this same situation. And as I mentioned last time on your show, the big picture here is that clearly the calculation changed for Iran. They no longer feel that it's in their incentive for self-preservation to not strike back and kill Americans or not do maximal damage. And now, clearly, with a younger, more radical Ayatollah who has not promised to not build nuclear weapons, they've made the calculation that actually they can't not give us a bloody nose, that they have to really make this cost us. Otherwise, we'll be back in another few months doing.
And again, whatever you think of this guy, and again, I don't blame you for thinking it. Again, I'd like to continue to point out that, the people that we use and the clips that we use in the show does not necessarily mean in any regard that they're, friends of the show or friends of the left in any situation or stretch of the imagination. But again, he makes a great point, because at this point, Iran has made the calculation that they cannot let up, right? They cannot just allow the United States to run roughshod over them. They cannot allow the rest of the world to see them as being, as weak as the United States is trying to make them out to be in this regard. Or again, everybody is going to try to have their hand at it. Right? They're going to have to affect the most destruction. They're going to have to affect the most damage, whether it be to the U.S. forces, whether it be to the, to the U.S. bases, whether it be to the world economy, whether it be to shipping or oil trade, whatever it may be. They have to cause the most hurt, the most pain right now to make it so that nobody tries to do this again, or at least they think very long and very hard before ever trying something like this again. Right, much like in the United States, we talk about how we need trials, we need committee hearings, we need we need fucking everything that we could possibly have as far as holding people accountable in this administration and in the past administration for breaking the law, going around the Constitution, trampling on the rights of marginalized communities, committing war crimes, whatever it may be. Unaliving, killing people, killing Americans in broad daylight in the streets of America. Like, we want to see all these people held accountable, and for reasons above and beyond just seeing them held accountable. So it sets an example for future representatives, for future government employees, that they can't do this same shit, that they will be held to account, that they will be fucking locked the fuck up. They will be publicly ostracized. They will be publicly ridiculed. The trials will be public. They will be televised throughout the world. And this will fucking we won't stand for this. Okay. So think twice before coming in and doing this again. That's the same type of rhetoric, the same type of mindset that Iran has right now. Like, if we don't right now make them pay as high a price as humanly possible for undertaking this, we're going to just expect this to come, more and more, frequently, whether it's from the United States or from Israel or from anybody else that sees us as weak. We need to make sure that they feel the pain. So, as unfriendly to the show as he is, he does make a good point in this regard.
Again. And of course, at the beginning of this war, Donald Trump said this was a full regime change war and called for the people to rise up and overthrow their government. And the people did rise up, Piers, in support of their martyr Ayatollah and in support of this regime. I know you saw some of those aerial shots. There must have been hundreds of thousands of people out in the streets in Tehran. And again,
same things that we pointed out here, right? Same things that we pointed out here. We played the clip on the show of, the people passing up, whether it was a cloth or a shirt or some sort of garment, right? And the people on the flotilla, the people that were there with the pictures, or the funeral procession would be wiping it on the pictures or the caskets of the fallen leadership. And then hand them back to the people. Like, it didn't seem like people that were ready to pick up arms, that were ready to storm into these military buildings and turn over and take over their government. Like, that's just not what we were seeing, even though Donald Trump was calling upon the Iranian people to do that from the beginning, right?
Liberal part of the country supporting the regime. So I'm sorry, at this point, this just looks like a catastrophe. And the best we can hope for at this point is that it only ends up killing like 10,000 people, and it only ends up costing tens of billions of dollars rather than the 200 that Secretary Hegseth has asked for. And this all relies on two major factors. Think about this, Piers. It's not just that Donald Trump has to call it quit and declare victory or whatever, but then we got two other entities that are majorly involved in this war, Iran and Israel. Now, we know at this point, Iran is saying they're vowing not to stop. They talk a lot of bluster. Who knows? Maybe they will. But Israel, Piers, we all know they want the regime change here. In the 12-day war and in this war already, they've hit targets after Trump has clearly asked them not to.
And again, we may be coming at this from two totally different angles for two totally separate reasons, right? But again, the same thing that we've been talking about here. Even if Donald Trump were somehow offered some sort of miraculous off-ramp, some miraculous exit to this, which got all of the U.S. troops out of the area, which didn't, instigate or further the destabilization of the region. Like, there is no guarantee, there is no trust whatsoever that Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF wouldn't continue with their actions in Lebanon, wouldn't continue to strike or to try to initiate regime change inside of Iran, wouldn't continue to try to, establish the greater Israel that they're dying to see. Wouldn't continue with their genocidal plot that they want to see the same thing happen that happened in Gaza to happen in Lebanon, right? We've already played multiple Israeli fucking officials that have come out and said that directly. No beating around the bush, no fucking sugarcoating. We want Lebanon and the places that we're attacking in Lebanon to look exactly like Gaza. And again, if anybody's unfamiliar or hasn't seen in quite some time what Gaza looks like, Google Earth is a fucking thing. Satellite images are a thing. There are a billion and a half videos that you can see right now to look at what Gaza looks like. Not only that, but the ongoing actions inside of the West Bank with the Israeli settlers. I mean, we've covered it in the last week or so. There's no trust whatsoever. There is no guarantee. There is no even suspicion that Israel, if in fact Donald Trump somehow was given this miraculous off-ramp, which I would like to fucking establish does not exist, has not been talked about, isn't even an option yet, that Israel would follow suit and we wouldn't continue to see these wars perpetrated even without U.S. involvement.
Say they don't continue doing that, and it begs a real question of how we get out of this quagmire. Yeah, 3 weeks in, we're already there.
Right. So, Adam, you've had a little spat with Dave on social media when he called it an illegal war of aggression.
And again, for what it's worth, great points made there by Dave. He's typically pretty good on the subject. And again, I just want to reiterate that we're coming at this from two totally separate angles. Like, you can understand that there are people that hate Israel. There are people that rail against Israel, but it's for completely, totally separate reasons and more dark and demonic reasons. Than anything that we call out because we don't like the plight of people throughout the world. We don't like genocide. Again, we're not going to sit by and sit idly by while this happens without calling it out. So again, you can come at it and you can come to the same conclusions and the same issues and looking at what's going on in reality, but coming at it from two totally different sides of the spectrum there.
X, you say, "Come on, guy, read the room." Dave responded, "Let's not pretend you read, Adam." To which you replied, "I'm able to read scoreboards. You are losing big time." Do you still feel that? I mean, do you still feel that? Because I would argue.
And here's Adam from the Pretty Big Douchebag podcast. His return, his response to what Dave just had to say and the points that he just made. And I think Piers was just discussing that they had a little spat on Twitter in which Dave kind of told him to read a book. So again, let's go on and see if this gets heated.
The scoreboards militarily absolutely would show that the United States and Israeli combined forces have inflicted enormous damage on Iran's military capability. I think that's inarguable. However, what I don't think has been properly factored in by the Americans and Israelis is the ability of Iran to wage an economic war in parallel to a military war. And that by controlling the Straits of Hormuz and by attacking, as they have done, their neighboring Gulf states, both oil refineries and tourist hotspots and so on, they've managed to freak everybody out and they freak the global markets. And this is incredibly damaging to Donald Trump because every day that Straits of Hormuz is shut, then you will see the impact for the next few weeks and months coming through the US economy and the global economy, but the US economy. You know, when fertilizer, when the impact of that being stopped comes through in a couple of months' time, it takes a while to cut through to the actual people of America. But it will, and when it does, it's going to be very damaging. Do you not think that the longer this goes on, the more of a miscalculation has been made here?
Look, I'm not the Trump is the all B MAGA guy. I'm the guy that was like, yeah, I'm not so sure about this Trump guy. You know what? Oh, I got the fake news. Oh, Russia. Oh, it turns out.
I'm sorry, you're not the Trump is MAGA guy? What? Like that sentence, A, didn't make any sense. And B, you're on the fucking Patrick Bet David podcast. Who the fuck do you think you're fooling? Okay? Do you think there's not ample video out there of you guys being online kissing Donald Trump's ass, right? Lying your fucking through your teeth about Democrats, about Kamala Harris? Like, you think we can't pull up that video? You think that doesn't live forever on the internet, Adam? Or again, you just hoping nobody recognizes you because you're so fucking insignificant on that show?
No, he's way better than the other side. So I had to use logic and a measured approach to get me to the point where I'm like, he's the guy. So I'll ask you another question. Let's say Trump wasn't here.
It took you logic and a reasonable approach to come to the conclusion that, again, the guy that said he could grab women by the crotch without consent, the guy that wanted to have sexual relations with his daughter and has mentioned it on several occasions, the guy that said he would be dating the little girl going up the escalator in 10 years, right? The guy that, again, is mentioned more times in the fucking Epstein files than Epstein his goddamn self. That guy. That's the guy that you took. It took reason and logic for you to come to the conclusion that that was the best representative for the United States. The guy that was known as a con man, a fraudster, and a sexual abuser for his entire fucking life. That's the guy. That's reason and logic. That's what you call that, Adam? Okay.
What's Kamala doing?
Oh, no,
So
don't get me wrong.
is binary.
I think Kamala Harris would have been a terrible president. I thought Joe Biden was a terrible.
I mean, to say that at this point, you have to be fucking still at least balls deep into the MAGA cult at this point. Like, again, we love to at some point give Piers credit because he's more and more likely to at least give some fucking pushback, whereas before he was not going to do anything to push back against this. But you can still see how they're balls deep in the MAGA cult here. By in any way trying to represent that Kamala Harris would have left us in a worse position than we are right now. You would have to be, I don't know, run over by a fucking steam train. You would have to be dragged behind that train for several fucking kilometers. You would then have to be fucking mauled by a grizzly bear and then beat over the head with a baseball bat several times and then shot straight in the fucking temple. Somehow still survive that. A moose comes and then tramples you even further. And then somehow I would give you the belief. I would give you like the excuse to somehow come out with that bullshit. Like, what in the fuck are you talking about that would even remotely suggest that we would be in any of these fucking positions? The positions with our allies, the positions with NATO, the positions with fucking, the people being shot inside this country, the ICE problems that we've seen in this country, the economy, fucking stupid. What were the details? What were the examples? What were the fucking the bits and pieces, the breadcrumbs that you were following to bring you to that conclusion? Like, Jesus Christ, does this shit fucking piss me off when I hear that? Like, yeah, we're talking about World War III. We're talking about nuclear holocaust. We're talking about $200 a barrel oil. We're talking about fertilizer not getting to the United States. God knows what the ramifications on that would be. We're talking about energy infrastructure being completely eradicated in the Middle East. We're talking about desalinization plants being eradicated in the Middle East. We're talking about, again, Americans being shot in broad daylight on the streets of America. Like, at what point do you not recognize, like, nobody could have possibly gotten us into a worse position than we are right now? It's just not fucking possible. You couldn't have done it.
President. And I've always said,
let me
with
put this back in the screen. Sorry, I got so pissed off I went full screen. My bad.
Trump, I think I find myself agreeing with some of the things he does and disagreeing with others, which I think is the right way to deal with Trump. I think if you just judge him on what comes out of his mouth...
Well, that's just like with anything, Piers. You're not going to agree with everybody and disagree with that.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and look, when I came on the PBD podcast...
But the mistake that you seem to be making, and probably purposefully done, is giving the same kind of credit level, or giving the same kind of numerical value to each of these points that you're making, when in fact, a lot of these things are much more dangerous and much more important than any of the other fucking little or smaller things that you'd like to, I don't know, give him credit for, I guess, right? So if you give like points associated with, I'd say, I don't know, points associated with getting us into World War III would probably a bigger fucking window, a bigger part of the puzzle, a bigger part of the graft, and I don't know, whatever, again, you're seemingly likely to give him credit for as far as, I don't know, good things done. I can't even possibly come up with one. You'd probably have to pay me a shitload of money to do a shitload of research to find even one remotely positive fucking aspect of this administration. But again, I'm curious, Piers, it's funny, you don't seem to mention any of these specific things that you're happy with, but you do mention them in passing.
I loved it because we disagree about stuff, and you guys come on, we disagree, we agree. We never fall out over it, nor should anybody, right? But on this specific...
It's funny. The fact that he said this, and this conversation gets to the point where it gets, and these people, they get so heated at each other, it's kind of funny.
Cool about Iran. I did say on day one, I think this is a massive gamble, and I don't understand the timing. And I think the capacity for this to go badly wrong is very high. The longer it has gone on, because Trump originally was like, this is over in days, then it's over in a couple of weeks. Then everything started changing. Then the regime change, he said, was going to happen with people rising up. None of that has happened. There are lots of reasons for it. I think the reason we saw so many pro-regime people hit the streets was they were not going to get killed doing it. We saw in January when people protested against the regime, a lot got killed. And obviously there are bombs flying around all over the cities of Iran, which will also put people off, I guess.
You guess? I'm sorry. You guess? You guess that 2,000, 1,000, 3,000 pound bombs dropping out of the sky? You guess that might keep people inside? But again, as we continue to say, they even above and beyond those risks went out there to show the support for the regime, for the fallen members of the regime, which should give you a clear indication as to where the mindset is and where the loyalty lies, and how clearly far away from, having the Iranians rise up and take over their country, like Donald Trump said he wanted them to do, we actually are.
The reasons, I guess, why people are protesting or not protesting in certain ways. But to me, the justification for this war has changed so many times. It's made me think, I don't think Donald Trump has any clear idea of what victory looks like. Do you? I mean, if the regime remains intact and they keep their enriched uranium, for example, and they maintain control of the Straits of Hormuz, is that victory?
Well, look, this was not an easy decision. You think, these guys have been in power 47 years. Everybody in our microwave hustle society wants this done in the next 4 to 7 weeks. It's going to take some time. We've already talked.
The whole point is we didn't want it fucking undertaken at all, right? We didn't want it undertaken at all. We already had an Iran nuclear deal, right? We were already even beyond that in negotiations with the previous Ayatollah. We were in a much better circumstance. We had much better relations before this war was undertaken than we do right now. So everything that you just said is completely fucking irrelevant.
To a good Navy SEAL, buddy of mine, Navy SEAL, he said, dude, we've taken out 80% of their military capacity. Not bad in less than a month.
Yeah, and we're still getting fucked in the ass, right? We're still seeing the secondary impacts. We're still paying a fucking, an arm and a leg at the gas pump. And it's only likely to get worse before it gets better. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, can we wake up and realize this isn't like a one-to-one military campaign? This isn't a symmetrical fucking war being fought? Again, they don't need to have the capabilities to take on the U.S. military soldier for soldier. They don't need to fight us plane for plane or ship for ship, right? What the fuck was their Air Force known for before this, okay? I give you that. These fucking Republicans. Any Republicans watching in the chat? I know sometimes you're a little scared to speak up because we have such a fucking fantastic group of people in there ready to fucking combat you at every second. But again, I just put this to you guys. What the fuck was the last thing that the Iranian Navy was known for? What was the big action? Okay? What was the big danger posed? What was the big threat to the fucking world that the Iranian Air Force, what was their last great and big action that they were known for undertaking? Like, why is it such a huge thing right now that we're like applauding the fact that they don't have a Navy and an Air Force? Like, in fact, that they had some like hugely successful Navy and Air Force before this, or they ever even needed the planes or the ships to enact exactly what they're enacting right now. Because seemingly they could get rid of all that shit like they have, and they still have goals and plans in place that they can enact to put pressure on this situation to make it look like at this point that the United States is losing and losing big, regardless of how many targets we've struck, regardless of how many fucking planes we've shot down, regardless of how many ships are now residing at the bottom of the sea, shot down by fucking Pete Hegseth, like Donald Trump loves to say. Seemingly didn't need them, didn't fucking matter, waste of time, waste of money. As a matter of fact, you probably could have left those fucking to be, and they still be sitting in the same spot because they don't fucking need them. They didn't have to use them. They've been using the fucking mines and the drones and their control of the Strait of Hormuz. And again, the likely nature that the Houthis will at some point enact some control or at least continue to threaten in rhetoric the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which will have even further economic ramifications on the global stage. It's crazy that they don't seem to, they love to like applaud the number of targets and like the percentage of fucking this and that hit while not really recognizing that it hasn't had the impact at all that they're necessarily trying to make it seem like it had.
So let the guy cook a little bit. So you also
let him
talk
cook.
about
Let him cook. And by cook, do you mean like the little kids that were cooked? Is that who you want them to cook? Because right now it's human beings that are being cooked. You selfish fucking prick. You 5'3" little fucking pussy. It is human beings currently being cooked, okay? It is the hospitals and the medical sites and the fucking schools that are continuously being hit and the civilians that are being burnt alive. Is that what you mean by let Trump cook? You just don't, obviously I know you're okay with it considering you're now applauding it and asking for more. But again, do you realize how sick and decrepit and like lacking of a soul you have to be in order to like be okay with this or to call for more of it even?
That, oh yeah, they had people out there pro-regime. Yeah, nobody's denying that 10 to maybe 20% max of the country is pro-regime. But what about the 80% of the country? That's like if they had a comedy show.
I'm sorry, where are you pulling these numbers from? What hole, what orifice in your body did you just pull those numbers from? 20% of Iran, only 20%, 10 to 20%, he said, is in support of the regime. 80%, of the country he thinks is against the regime. I'm just curious where he can cite those numbers from. Anyway, do you have anywhere to cite? No source.
There's 100 people that magically showed up to Dave's comedy show. Oh my God, he has so many fans. Dude, there's 100,000 people outside that didn't go to the show. I'm not being like brutish or sarcastic, but just you're taking a small sample size and extrapolating that for the entire country. We all know.
Just to be clear,
100,000 plus people going into a fucking public square that's actively being targeted by multiple nations and having missiles and drones and fucking warplanes flying overhead, risking all of that so they could show their support for the regime doesn't quite show like a small percentage, right? Clearly shows like an intent, a willingness to show, where they lie or where they stand and to give the fucking United States a big middle finger and to give Israel the big middle finger.
Well,
hang on, Adam. Just to be technically correct on that argument you're making, if 100 people turned up to watch Dave's show, then technically over 8 billion chose not to.
Correct, and that's pretty uniform at this point.
Good one.
This is really making me feel bad about my numbers.
As we're talking about fucking world war, as we're talking about the death and destruction of the Middle East, as we're talking about the lies and propaganda told to us by this regime, why don't you throw in a little crack, a little wise crack, Piers? That was a good interjection. Surprised you're not a comedian.
It doesn't necessarily mean that 8 billion people.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean there are 8 billion people who don't like Dave Smith.
I used to own a couple. No, it's fine. I mean, I actually do like Dave
Smith. And again, for the sake of time, I'm going to go on to I want to see where they get kind of a little bit more heated in this regard.
This show, which caused all the furore, led by Ben Shapiro. We'll play what he said, and I'll play what Shapiro said about it, and then we'll come back today for
well, we don't
he
need to
goes,
hear Shapiro.
oh, I just won't debate with this guy because this is so beyond the pale. Ben Shapiro made his name debating 19-year-old communist Maoists who were confused about their gender. So somehow, Piers, we're going to have to believe here that I'm so much less serious than the children who Ben Shapiro made a career debating. I loved your response to him where you pointed out some of the goofy segments that he does on his show. I mean, personally, I really stay away from that stuff. And, you know, for Adam, I think to say it's clickbait or that I just want to get out in front of the camera, I think we're all equally in front of a camera right now. And it's kind of weird to accuse someone else. I very much believe the things I'm saying.
Dave,
now, to Adam's point,
Dave,
hold
don't
on,
run from the comment.
because there's a
Don't
bunch.
run from your comment.
I'm trying to
address
get to
the
it, but there's a
comment, not
lot
Ben
here.
Shapiro, would you?
Well,
Good.
yes,
Let's go. Wrap it up.
No, I'm going to make the points I want to make.
You called the United States military.
You're just slowing. Okay, so
you
anyway,
called the United States military the greatest terror organization in the world.
Adam,
defend.
Just let me answer. No problem. I'm going to go back to the order I was going to go in. To Adam's point, when Adam says I'm a radical libertarian and I say that this is true Americanism, I mean, look, my favorite founding father is Thomas Paine. Not everyone considers him a founding father. And maybe I love him so much because he never held a government position and didn't own slaves, which I thought was pretty cool. But Benjamin Franklin said he was the most consequentialist and the one person most responsible for the United States of America existing. His famous pamphlet that he wrote was called Common Sense. And I think on the first or second line of it, he says, government is at best a necessary evil. So at best, he's like, this is clearly on the anarchist to night watchman state spectrum was what true Americanism was when it started. Now, for me to say what I made the point, and I've made this point a million times on your show, Piers, I was saying when people come on and say Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism, well, just like give me an objective definition of what terrorism means, and then let's apply that standard universally. And if you're going to sit here and say, look, America has given billions, tens of billions of dollars to the IDF in the last few years. We've also, by the way, given a lot of weapons and money here. Your first guest on this show there, the head of the Obama deep state, was using Al-Qaeda, bin Ladenite head choppers on the ground in Libya and in Syria. And yes, Adam, I would also consider it when our politicians lie us into wars that slaughter millions of innocent people and in many cases target those innocent people. I consider that terrorism as well. There's the answer, Adam. And if you want to keep doing this, buddy, you could tell me to check the scoreboard. I'll run circles around you on this, dude. Check the scoreboard. Most unpopular war in American history going in. Check the scoreboard. 13 dead Americans and 150 plus other wounded. Thousands of innocents, including little schoolgirls in Iran, killed. Dead innocent Israelis. Hundreds of dead innocent people in Lebanon. Millions of innocent people being displaced, all at the cost of tens of billions of dollars and destroying Trump's coalition. Check your scoreboard, Adam. How's it looking for you?
And again, above and beyond his kind of, historical fucking references that he's making, that last point that he's talking about there, or the last several points that he made there, are pretty much, you can't go against them. There's no denying that those things are the reality, that people on all sides of this are dying, that people are paying the price, civilians are paying the price. That schools have been attacked, hospitals have been attacked, churches have been attacked, or religious sites, I should say, have been attacked. This is all things that we're seeing objectively. There's no denying it. There's no way you can get around it. There's no beating around the bush. So again, I'd like to hear just Adam's pushback on this, and then we can dive on to our next clip here. I know we spent a little bit more time on this than I would have liked, but again, to see these two kind of go at each other, to see Adam kind of having no response to, again, the easiest points that are being made, kind of the most the main points that are now being looked at as far as what's taking place on the ground and the possibility of what could come. Like, he has no pushback whatsoever. He has nothing to offer this conversation whatsoever. And we'll go on after this.
So, okay, it's not working well for you, Dave, because you're still saying that United States. You're saying the United States is a terrorist organization. You've already lost the debate. You live in America, tough guy. You have the luxury of sitting in your little studio with your hooded sweater, like you're 17 years old. The regime. You mean all American presidents?
I'm 17
Who's your favorite president in the last 50 years?
Adam, I'm 17 years old.
Who's your favorite president
I have a wife and children. Who depends on you, Adam? Your mom?
Ooh.
Okay. I also have.
And it's even worse that he didn't have a comeback. And we'll end on that one there. I think that pretty much gets us to the point I wanted to get to anyway. But to sit there and say, I have a wife and kids, who do you have that kind of leans on you, or who counts on you? Your mother, he says, and then fucking Adam has no pushback whatsoever. Can we just see that one more time? Just one more time.
Adam, I'm 17 years old. I have a wife and children. Who depends on you, Adam? Your mom?
Okay. I also have.
the stutter, the stammer, and the silence there speaks volumes in this regard. And he goes on to make more of an ass out of himself. But again, unfortunately, we'll not have the time to cover the rest of that. Probably, fortunately, if I'm taking some of the sentiment of the chat into regard. But again, just to use these idiots against themselves, like the people that are mainly responsible, and again, friends, not friends of the show that are making good points, just to show that we're willing to give credit where credit is due, right? In that regard, Adam looking like an absolute moron, zero comeback whatsoever from that. But again, we use this one to our benefit as well. And I believe that this is the reason that the I've Hip ladies, both Jen and Pumps, are speaking about this as well. Let me throw this on the screen here because this is their video. I think this went up this morning, maybe last night. Yeah, 4 hours ago, it says. And this is Melania self-destructs during disaster robot stunts, and Marjorie Taylor Greene nukes Donald Trump. I believe they start off with the MTG. So again, let's see if we can get into a couple minutes of this where they talk about, these sycophants, the people that were most widely known for being the MAGA representatives that have clearly done this 180, that are now willing to call it out publicly. And again, how beneficial it could be, while also recognizing that we continue to hold these people at arm's length, right? We continue to tell you what these people are responsible for. We continue to remind you of their voting record, of things they've espoused in the past, their racist and bigoted beliefs, while also playing, their statements, their rhetoric against the Trump administration to our benefit. So again, here's Jen and Pumps giving their 2 cents on, I believe, Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few tweets that she put out.
Okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene is popping off on Twitter, and I think we should do a dramatic reading of her post. Pop this up. And I'm going to do this in my Marjorie Taylor Greene accent. I'd like to congratulate two-time congressional candidate loser Laura Loomer, MAGA, I guess that's Make Israel Great Again, foreign op Mark Levin, and neocon murdering psycho Senator Lindsey Graham for leading Republicans into slaughter going into midterms. Your incessant lies to President Trump have destroyed all faith in the GOP.
Unfucking believable that even at this point, like the same way that like the rest of these idiots have these videos calling out Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or Dan Bongino when he was in the when he was working for the administration, but they won't call out Donald Trump. Like this is again showing you just how deeply involved they are in this cult. Like, and again, these are no friends of ours. These are no people that have now come to see the light, right? They are just the stupidest people that even they, in their dumb fucking ass nature, can see what's going on and what's taking place and the danger posed by it, right? But on everything else, they're still bigoted, they're still racist, and they're still unable to put Donald Trump at the head of all this. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been shunned from MAGA because of her, her support for Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna's bill, for the Epstein survivors, for demanding that Donald Trump meet with the Epstein survivors. Like, she has been shunned, and again, she won't even have the balls to call out Donald Trump here. She even says, like, your incessant lies to President Trump have destroyed all faith in the GOP. Basically saying that it's not Donald Trump's fault, right? He's not the responsible for this. He's just kind of being led around by the nose by people that have ill intent. So again, this is her ability to try to be like, well, I'm not going to directly blame Donald Trump for what's going on. I'm going to blame all these people around him, whether it be Laura Loomer or Mark Levin or fucking Lindsey Graham, as she brings up here. So again, you can see how unwilling they are to remove themselves in totality from the cult. Like, that's how fucking strong, that's how fucking, like, magnetic the pull is to the center of MAGAdom. These people just cannot remove themselves fully whatsoever. The same way that Piers Morgan, right, is calling out the dangers, calling out the dumb nature of this war enacted, while also saying, Donald Trump is still a better president than Kamala Harris would have been in that regard. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'd like to remind everyone that when I led the
back on the screen, my apologies. I keep getting so pissed off. I go full screen.
Party on the campaign trail fighting for America first in 22 and 24. All the GOP did was win, win, win. But after Trump called me a traitor, he said he would destroy me for releasing the Epstein files. I refuse to fight for Trump and the Republican Party that defends the Epstein class, wages pointless foreign wars, and pursues America last. I never changed. Trump and the GOP betrayed their voters and took in the trash we threw out of the party. Loomer, Levin, and Lady Lindsay are the best political consultants the Democratic Party could ever imagine.
And again, this is where, just in case you're just listening, this is posted with the interactive polls that says Democrats have flipped a total of 12 legislative seats in special elections in 25 and 26. And then it goes on to list Texas, Iowa, Arkansas, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, Florida, Georgia, New Hampshire, Florida, and Mississippi again in the races. They're basically, stating the dire straits that the GOP is in coming into the midterm elections. And again, the sentiment seen in all different parts of the nation. Again, we go from Texas to Pennsylvania to Florida to New Hampshire to Mississippi to Arkansas. I mean, we're talking about, places that are known for having purple, if not deep red districts that the Democrats have completely overperformed or won outright in those districts. Again, the latest one being the Florida seats that we saw flip there. One of them included the district that Mar-a-Lago itself is encompassed in, which is, again, fucking utterly hilarious and utterly telling for the GOP, exactly what they might be facing in the midterms as far as their ass kicking is concerned.
And then it shows all the Democrats win. Okay. She makes some good points. Yeah. But I will say my favorite part of this is the narcissism in the center of it. Yeah. That's my favorite part.
Win.
That when I was leading the coalition, we won all the time. But now that Donald Trump called me a traitor, we're losing, as though it has nothing to do with the abject failure of Republican parties, but just the fact that she's not campaigning with them. That's my favorite part. What's yours?
Again, it's the same thing that Tim Pool and them are doing, right? They're directly responsible for this, but because now, they find themselves in the position of looking like assholes, considering what they said was going to happen, considering and opposed to and compared to what the hell we're now seeing as far as reality on the ground. Like, now they're trying to completely remove themselves from accountability. They've just, when we were in there, we were doing the right thing. And now all of a sudden, now that I'm on the outside, things have kind of gone to shit. Now, Tim Pool talking about how he's an independent, he's a moderate, like he's not directly responsible for this, and he's just kind of calling it as he sees it, folks. Just doing this reporting from the, I'm straddling the fence, doing the most, honest reporting we could possibly get done as far as Tim Pool is concerned, which we know is just outright horseshit, right? I mean, it's just the fact that they're trying to remove themselves from culpability, from accountability, as far as why we're in this position right now is fucking utterly hilarious and is definitely not going to make it past us.
Okay, so I love that part, but I also love the Lady Graham. I mean, come on. Yeah. But I thought this was a very Trump-esque post. She kind of sounded like Trump in it, like, I'm the winner. Everybody else name calls. So I kind of see her walking in Trump's little shadow there.
Well, that's exactly what they're all doing. And that's a great, a great point there by Pumps, because that's exactly what all these people are doing. They're all vying for that next spot. Okay. They know that Donald Trump's life is coming to an end, right? They know that at the very least, his political life is coming to an end. And they want to be there to soak up all the dollars that they saw MAGA and those fucking idiots throw at his feet, whether it was for cologne or watches or subscriptions or fucking True Social or whatever the fuck it was for. Like, they saw all these people and how manipulated they could possibly be into giving up their money, their hard-earned dollars. Meanwhile, they're saying there's such an economic and financial fucking ruins that they can't afford anything. Meanwhile, they're giving, reoccurring payments to the Trump campaign, to the Trump Foundation of $1,000 a month. You know what I mean? So again, these are the same people that love to come out there and be like, well, it's really not that big a deal. It's really not that big a problem. But, Pumps kind of calls it out rightly so in that regard. So I appreciate them at least calling. I think they go into a little bit of Melania's robot stunt, which I absolutely will not subject you to. Again, there's no need to see two robots in one clip. So again, let's go on here to our next clip I want to talk about. This is a quick one as well. This is from Ryan Grimm on with Rob Schmidt. Ryan Grimm, I believe he works for Drop Site News, if I'm not mistaken. Also, sometimes a co-host or a host on with the Breaking Points with Crystal and Saga as well. This is where he kind of went on with Rob Schmidt. Rob Schmidt tried to get one over on Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm was a part of the aid. I don't know if you want to call it a convoy, flotilla, whatever it was that went over to Cuba to deliver, I believe it was generators and some other supplies to the people of Cuba after seeing the plight of the Cuban people and seeing what they've been having to live through for some time now. So, but Ryan does a great job of combating Rob Schmidt and making Rob look like an absolute moron in this regard, because he doesn't combat him with any of the normal stuff that you would come at. It was basically just, getting to his humanity and basically just calling out exactly what, happened as far as, okay, this is what we did. Do you have a problem with that? Do you have a problem with us going over to help the human beings that are now being oppressed because of what the Trump regime is trying to inflict on them? Like, is that an issue that the people of this network would really have? So again, let's just play a quick clip of this. I wanted to give credit where credit was due to Ryan for handling this appropriately. So let's see if we can dive into this real quick.
Dropside News reporter Ryan Grimm also traveled to Cuba as well, reporting on all this. He's seen in this photo here. And Ryan joins us tonight, and it's good to have you back on the show. The Trump administration is trying to end a 70-year regime. It looks like these guys, along with you there, are trying to help it survive. Am I missing something?
Yeah, you are. It's pretty crazy that you could even come out with that question and phrase it the way you did, considering the fact that Donald Trump said he was going to be the president to not get you into regime change wars, right? To not inflict, to not enact any of these wars that would put our troops, in harm's way as far as being in fighting in a war in the Middle East, or again in forever wars wherever they take place. Like, the fact that you could even phrase the question, that opening question, that way, when again you voted for and continued to support the guy that said he was going to be the president of peace, the no new wars president, and now all of a sudden you're like, well, what's the big deal? Like, we just want to go through and change all the regimes on all the countries that we don't like, and this is the reasons why we're going to have it happen. I mean, what is the hypocrisy in that, really?
Wait, they're trying to do what?
Trying to help this regime survive.
Who is?
Piker, most of the people there. I'm wondering if yourself along with them are included in that.
Yeah, the group that went along brought about 50 tons worth of medical supplies and solar panels. That's right.
Medical
solar
supplies.
panels, that's what it was. Sorry, I keep saying generators. It was solar panels. But he does a great job in this regard, because he's talking about Rob Schmidt's trying to build the case that these people went over there to better, to help, to further the Cuban regime. Right, to support the Cuban regime. And Ryan's just like, yeah, we went over there with solar panels and fucking medical equipment. Like, what are you going to say about that? Tell me how that supports the regime. And again, why you'd be against any of that. And not only that, but Ryan gets into a great point here, being like, what the fuck is it of your business? Okay. You're from New York, Rob. What fucking right do you have to tell the Cuban people what should happen with their country? What government they should be run by? Same thing with Iran. What gives us the fucking the right to go in there and tell this government how to run itself, or to tell this country how to run itself, right? We can talk about it. We can discuss. We can have the problems. We can go through the diplomatic processes of trying to get better relations so that we can work together to have this not happen in the future. But the fact that we have made the decision to take it upon ourselves to go in and be like, no, we don't like these people. We're going to bomb the shit out of them. Okay, we don't like that they're oppressing their own people. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and bomb and oppress their own people. Like, tell me if that makes sense, right? How does that fucking make sense in both Cuba and Iran? Okay, their bullshit line that they come up with, not bullshit line, but the justification that they continue to use on the right is the fact that the Iranian regime was oppressing their own people, which is absolutely something that was happening and it continues to happen. But again, to use that as justification to go in there and, again, bomb and oppress the Iranian people, what sense does that make? Okay? We don't like how the Iranian regime is treating and killing the Iranian people. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and drop bombs on the Iranian people and oppress the Iranian people. Hello? What? That makes sense to you? That's something that you thought about for more than one fucking second and came to the conclusion that it makes sense? Like the same thing in Cuba. Oh, geez, we're doing it for the right reasons, right? We don't like the way the Cuban government is treating their people. They're oppressing and killing their people. So what are we going to do? Let's cut off the food. Let's cut off the fuel. Let's cut off the fucking energy so that people starve and are oppressed and are killed. And that makes fucking sense to you guys. That's something that you're willing to enact as a plan, and somehow you think that is like logical? Do you not understand you're putting these people under more plight? You're just putting them under, further stress. Like, it's fucking unbelievable that they're like, we're just trying to go in and save these people. We're bombing schools, hospitals, religious sites, civilian infrastructure. We're talking about fucking getting rid of the clean drinking water. We're talking about retaliating against the entirety of the energy infrastructure in the fucking area, in the region. Like, how is that supposed to help the people again? How is that going to go to help them or us as United States citizens or people, in the world in general that have to pay for fucking goods? Like, what is the benefit? What are you talking about? What right do you have to enact what other people or to tell other people in other countries how they should be running their country?
Solar panels.
And again, I keep getting pissed off and making myself full screen. But again, he goes on here. And again, shout out and good job done here by Ryan Grimm to kind of not lose his cool, doesn't have to yell, doesn't have to, call Rob Schmidt names or anything. He does a great job of just being like, okay, this is what we did. What is your fucking problem? And why do you have any say in this matter whatsoever?
And a lot of sympathies for the regime that controls the country, I imagine.
So let me try to help out your viewers a little bit here.
Right.
How do you feel about the fact that when Americans travel to a foreign country, in this case Cuba, they are told specifically a list of hotels that they are allowed to stay in another country?
I went through it because when I went and stayed there, it was the same. I stayed in an Airbnb. I think if you have if our country's trying to squeeze, our country's trying to.
What do you think of that?
I think our country's trying to end a regime that's been torturing people for a very long time, and they don't want to fund it. They don't want us funding it by paying money to a communist-owned entity like a hotel.
So if their system of government is so awful, why not just let it fail on its own? Why do we have to blockade them? And how do you think,
they won't leave. They don't have elections. They won't leave power.
How do you think the United States economy would do if we cut off fuel for 3 straight months? No fuel has basically gotten into Cuba since the Venezuela operation.
And again, that's not even bringing up or referencing the other economic impacts of the sanctions that have been put on not only Cuba, but other countries. As we continue to talk about how, not well the countries are doing, it's like, well, you're not also talking about the fact that we have, substantial economic sanctions on that country for a long period of time that it would inevitably destroy any country. Again, as Ryan brings up, what if the oil, again, as we're seeing now, be cut off even to a certain extent or slowed down to a certain extent, how much that impacts us? What if they cut off the oil to us? What if we weren't allowed to get any of our trade, any of our shipments in? Like, you can see how that would start to impact even the United States, the great power of the United States. So again, without referencing that, it's ridiculous. It's impossible to put it into context why the plight of the people is being seen to the extent that it's seen in these areas.
But I was there in 2019, Ryan, and it was still a horribly impoverished country. We're cutting off fuel to try and get this leadership out.
Yes,
get
again,
them the
sanctions. Help. It's sanctions, right? Again,
out of there because they won't leave. They won't have an election. They won't leave.
Why do you care about like who's in charge in Cuba? Who elected you to do that? It's such a bizarre. Like, there aren't enough problems in the United States here for you to worry about. Like,
that's another side of it.
Really, like, I can't even get my mind to a place.
Yeah, Rob, that's another side of it. And Ryan's pretty much bringing up the same fucking rhetoric, the same talking points of America First that Rob Schmidt and these people used to get Donald Trump elected. Basically, he's talking about, don't we have enough problems in this country right now to focus on that we could fucking try to solve without trying to go in and enact regime changes all over the world? Right, to put our military under these circumstances, to put the targets on the backs of the United States citizens all over the world, to put the targets on the back of the United States service members all over the world now because of them following orders of this fucking criminal regime that we have in place right now. I mean, it's a good fucking question being raised by Ryan. Like, who the hell are you, right? And again, Rob Schmidt here forced to kind of concede that this is a great point. Like, oh, no, that's a good point. I know it's the same things that we were saying to get Donald Trump elected, so I can see where you're coming from. It's like, don't you think we have enough shit to deal with here? Don't you think the billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars that we've already spent in this war could have been better spent inside of the United States? I don't know, helping homeless people, helping veterans, getting people back onto the health care that they were rightly afforded before Donald Trump, made these fucking loopholes and made it impossible for them to get the health care that they deserved, right? Maybe we should put it back into the cancer research funding for children. That would just be maybe a slightly better use of the funds I can think of than, again, what we've seen the billions and billions and billions of dollars already spent on this war go towards.
Where I would think it's my call, like who runs Cuba, who runs Haiti, who runs Mexico, who runs Iraq, who runs Iran, like
that's a fair
Israel.
That's a fair criticism. That's a fair criticism. But I mean, do you think it's better for do you
it's a fair criticism that Rob won't address. He'll acknowledge that it's a fair criticism, but he won't go any deeper into that as far as why he's thinking the same things that he's thinking and why it might be a fair criticism. right? Again, not even recognizing the fact of how not America first these policies are. And again, how detrimental these policies are to the American people. Like, that is the complete and total opposite of America first that these people were espousing, that they said was the reason they voted for Donald Trump, because of the policies and the promises that he made to these people. Like, it's unbelievable to hear them now be like, well, that's a good point. You know what? I never thought of it that way. I never thought of like the America first aspect of this, and, taking care of the American people first. I was always wrapped up in the whole no regime change wars. Well, that's exactly what we're caught in now. Well, anyway, you can tell where Rob's coming from. It's like, you can't even get your own story straight on this station, Chief. Oh, shit. Oh, we are out of time. God damn it. I knew I was going to take too long today. I got a couple videos here. Maybe we'll save those for tomorrow. So we can give that the attention they deserve. I hate flying over and trying to fly through some of these updates and information on what's been taking place with Ukraine, the successes that they've seen. So I want to show this. We'll probably wait till tomorrow to play this one. This is a Canal 13 video talking about Ukraine launches largest overnight air attack on Russia since the start of the war. Up to 400 UAV drones shot down, and that is coming per the Russian commanders or the Russian leaders in the areas that these strikes took place. So I want to make sure we dive into that. And then there was a professor. I got to learn how to say this guy's last name. Professor Gerds. Am I saying that right? Gerdes? I don't want to say it and look like an asshole. I just call him the professor every time to try to eliminate that to eliminate the embarrassment. But there was also a good update that he gave here. Ukraine just hit 2 more ports, much farther than expected. And this goes on to detail, again, the extent of the damage seen and the successes seen by the overnight strikes from the last couple days from Ukraine. And that's not to suggest that Russia hasn't had the ability to lob drones right back into Ukraine. We've seen strikes coming both ways, obviously, but I want to make sure that we dive into some of that. Maybe tomorrow. We'll give that the coverage it deserves tomorrow, and we'll see if we can add in any other news or updates that have come in since then. But yeah, I just want to make sure that you guys know how appreciative I am of you guys watching the show. Again, big thank you to everybody that's gone over to Hold on, let me throw it on this side. Been absolutely fantastic. You guys have been absolutely fan-fucking-tastic in your support of this channel. I just want to make sure that everybody continuously is up to speed and up to date on everything that's going on with Blunt Politics. So you can go to bostonbrian.com. It's also my handle on Blue Sky if you want to follow me there. That'll take you to links if you want to get to my Patreon, if you want to get to YouTube. That gives us the show schedule. If you want to check out when the show schedule is and when we're on, if you're getting confused in that regard, so you can check out that as well. And then obviously you can dive into the Blunt Politics shop through the website. You can get the fantastic gear that will be continuously adding new things day after day. We also want to make sure that we're taking recommendations and kind of ideas from the chat. So if you guys have any ideas and things you want to see inside of the Blunt Politics shop, things that you would wear, things that you would use as far as knickknacks, whatever it may be, if you guys have some ideas or whatever whatever comes to mind, you guys just let us know and we'll see if we can take care of that for you guys. So I appreciate everybody heading over to there and getting a piece of merch or supporting the show through Venmo or Super Chat, whatever it may be. Let's get into thanking some of those fabulous people right now. Actually, at the end of the show, every show, we make sure that we go through the list, whether it be Venmo or on YouTube, to give everybody the show of appreciation, to make sure that you guys know how much you guys are how supportive you guys are for this show. So I appreciate each and every one of you that comes through with either $1 or $2. That's all we ask for. We have nothing hidden behind a paywall, no financial backers. We have no sponsors to the show. Everything that we do is in-house, done by people in-house, for the people in-house. You don't have to pay for Substack. Again, no content hidden behind a paywall. All we ask for is that you see some value in the show, and you have Venmo, or if you want to sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me, it'll cost you less than a gallon of gas, which is, again, some pretty good bang for your buck, if I do say so myself. And of course, you can sign up at patreon.com. We have our VIP Zoom tonight, so I can't wait to see you VIPs, you fucking celebrities over there on the Patreon side of things, for our monthly meetup, so we can get to know one another. We can just hang out, shoot the shit, whatever it may be. Like I always say, it's just kind of a better way to get acquainted with the people in the chat. And again, we just kind of hang out. We can talk about the weather, dogs, sports, whatever it may be. There's no content that you're missing. So I appreciate everybody signed up there. But let me go through the old YouTube. Let me go through the old Venmo list so we can see who to thank here. First and foremost, thank you so much to Thomas. Appreciate you and Victoria. Thomas says, nice jersey. You like that? You like that one, brother? I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Thomas, for everything that you guys have done and continue to do. Thank you so much to Jenny Faye as well. Have a Coke and a smile, she says. Thank you so much, Jenny Faye. We appreciate everything that you do. Thank you so much to Yakov. Thank you so much to Garrett. Thank you so much to Peter. Thank you so much to Candy. Candy had a wonderful showing yesterday. Thank you so much to V. Sawyer. Thank you so much to Tom. Thank you so much to Tanya, and thank you so much to Jeffrey. So everybody over the last few days that has contributed to the channel via Venmo, I do want to make sure that everybody gets their name recognized and let you know how much I appreciate everything that you guys do. All right, let's head over to the YouTube side of things, see if there's anybody to thank over here. There typically is, considering how unbelievable you guys are. So first off, on the thank you list today is Willow. Thank you so much, Willow, for becoming a new YouTube member. Again, spreading this community, growing this community, trying to get to 20,000 subscribers is the goal. So again, Willow helping us get to that goal, whether it be the membership goal or the subscriber goal. Thank you so much, Willow, for helping us get there. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Colleen, for the 5 gifted memberships. That means 5 fantastic people watching in that chat that did not previously have access to a Boston Brian membership now gets access to a Boston Brian membership. And I would just continuously ask people that are receiving gifted memberships, if you find some value in that membership, and at the end of the month when it expires, if you could think about at least re-upping on that membership, because sometimes there's those huge swings where a lot of people will gift memberships, a lot of people will get them, and then they kind of run out at the same time, and then, you know, it's kind of hit or miss who re-ups on the subscriptions, on the membership. So, you know, just think about it if you do find yourself coming back, if you find some value in having that membership, think about kind of re-upping on it. So I appreciate you, Colleen. Thank you so much for giving everybody the access to get those memberships. And again, oh my goodness, for your continued community growth and what you need to expand. Oh my God, Colleen, thank you so fucking much. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Can't thank you enough for that $50 contribution. Really, really kind of you. Really, really generous, and absolutely will go a long way in the growth and helping the growth of this community. So really, really appreciated, Colleen. Thank you so much, not only for the gifted memberships, but also that huge contribution as well. Thank you so much to Jeff, the Houthis and their patented Blowfish H2O bombs. And again, doesn't necessarily need to be like the most sophisticated weaponry. Doesn't need to be like the most sophisticated fucking drone technology or the sophisticated soldiers. Like, all they need to do is just have that threat, just be able to impact shipping just a fraction of that. So to make people go around the other way, the long way around Africa, and we will be continuously seeing the impacts of that. Again, this is not something that happens overnight. The slow roll, the slow fucking impact to the prices on the goods that you buy will be affected and will be changed, and will be the slow roll will happen. Again, the longer this incurs, the longer this goes on. So, Jeff, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And thank you, SFL, for the $7 contribution. Animals also suffer in wars. Donate to animal charity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good point there made by SFL. I appreciate you bringing that up as well. There was a couple videos that we played from the frontline soldiers in the Ukrainian war as well that were detailing the dangers posed and the kind of the eradication of the wildlife in some of these areas that were getting caught up in either the drone nets, whether it be birds or deers or whatever it may be, the wildlife in that area. You can see how, getting caught up in the drone nets, and also the fiber optic cables having and playing a huge part in that as well. And again, this is, habitat that will be impacted for a long time to come. So again, absolutely, animals also suffer in wars. SFL, great point there. And if I'm not mistaken, I may be mistaken on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm also pretty sure that the Misto Dobra, the company, the agency that the Duggar site is affiliated with, the Stand with Ukraine Sunflower that we love to represent. I think that's the same. I think they also go to help not only elderly and children, but also animals as well. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in that, but I do believe that I saw that as well on one of the websites that I was looking at. So SFL, great point. Appreciate you for bringing that up. Thank you so much. Thank you, JD. Final blow. Yeah, you can get a YouTube membership just below me, and you'll be sure to be on the top of the list for YouTube memberships. Like I said, that's just below me, and you will be receiving your YouTube membership any day now, I'm sure. But it's got to be just below me. All right. I was playing into your hands a little bit there. Okay. I'm sorry. But JD, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Yakov, for the 5 gifted memberships, brother. And congratulations on the wrench. Welcome the member here of the community. Glad to add you as a mod here. Very, very appreciative of everything you've done for this community. And again, congratulations and thank you for everything that you've done. So Yakov, thank you for the 5 gifted. Make sure we're reaching out to Yakov and everybody else that's gifting these memberships, gifted super chats or super stickers, to make sure to thank them for their generosity. And then rounding it out today, Cindy Russell. How are you doing, Cindy? Thank you so much, dear, for the $2 contribution. Very, very nice of you. Can't thank you enough. And I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Again, I can't express my appreciation enough for everybody here and all of the support that you've shown this show and how you continue to support this channel and watch us grow here. Again, you guys have watched this from the infancy of this show. So again, I think that's one of the greater aspects of this show too. You guys can kind of follow along from its infancy, from its beginnings, and watch it to whatever position that we get to, whatever heights that we reach. So again, it's only with the help and the contributions of you guys that we've been able to make it this far, and it's only going to be with your continued help that we're going to make it any farther. So thank you so much. I appreciate the mods. You guys are amazing. You guys, I would not be here without you guys. I really do appreciate all the work that you put into keeping that channel safe, keeping that chat safe. And thank you to the best community. Thank you to the best chat on the fucking social media sites, which is right here at Blunt Politics. So thank you guys to the community that you guys have built even above and beyond me. You guys have turned it into its own thing, and I thank you for doing so. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Friday show. Again, there's going to be a lot of nonsense and bullshit to cover, so come prepared, come energized, smoke them if you got them, cheers if you're drinking them up. I do appreciate you spending some time here with me. Go Sox today, and thank you. Stay loud, stay proud. We'll be going to talk about tomorrow also the No Kings rallies coming up on Saturday. I will be in Boston at the rally. I will be checking out hopefully the Dropkick Murphys and their performance that they will be putting on at the rally, and obviously I'll be taking some footage. I got the I got my bullhorn charged up and ready to go, so we'll be causing some mischief, as you'll fucking as you can imagine, as we're known to do. So again, we're not going to stay silent. We're not going to sit idly by while this shit happens to our country. And again, if these are the only opportunities that we have to utilize, we're going to utilize them to the best of our ability. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you guys, especially everybody that's ready, willing, and able to get out there on Saturday and show again your frustration, displeasure for what's taking place, to show a little fight back, to get the numbers into the streets that we need to show not only this government but also the rest of the world that we do not stand for this, that we will not stand for this. And again, there are a lot of people to blame in this country, but it sure as fuck ain't us. Okay. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for the Friday show. Thank you to Rox. Thank you to Tiff. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to Yakov. Thank you to everybody helping out. Thank you to Jen. Thank you to Andrea. Thank you to Mark P. You guys are all fantastic. And again, thank you to the best chat on earth, the Blunt Politics, the Lobster Crew. Let's fucking go. And thank you to everybody grabbing the merch. And I'll see you tomorrow. I think that's everything. Did we cover everything? I think we got to everything. All right. Another good show, guys. Again, I'm biased, though. You know what I mean? So you can't ask me. It's let me know what you guys think. Leave a couple comments in the chat after this show is posted. Let me know what you guys want me to work on. Let me know what what part of the show you guys like, what parts of the show you guys don't like, what you think could make it better. Let me know what you guys think. I'm all up for viewer feedback and letting me know what you guys think could make this show help be a little better, a little bit more informative, a little bit more educational, whatever you guys think. So let me know. I'm up for I'm up for the critiques. So all right, I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. I'll be right here, 2:00 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Blunt Politics, Boston Brian. Look it up. I'll be here. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Keep your head on a fucking swivel out there, though. Make sure you guys are staying safe. All right. Salute. I'm out of here. Peace. And don't forget, we got Adam's GoFundMe as well. Don't forget anybody that's got a buck or two or whatever you guys can come up with. Adam's got his GoFundMe going. We're looking to help raise at least $600 for Adam so we can get back on his feet after those horrendous storms that Hawaii saw. So make sure we're thinking about Adam and anybody else that's in need in the community as well. So appreciate you, Adam. Thank you so much. And hopefully we can get you there, buddy. That's something I'm suspecting might be an issue. I'm suspecting that might be an issue. I'll do my best to maintain some semblance of a voice, do a show on Sunday. Patreon link for tonight is posted. Let me know if anybody has any problems with the link. Anybody signed up at the VIP level should get access to that link that is already posted on Patreon.
For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. Kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls. To officially name the undisputed, when did this come out? God bless the United States. The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated. You know, they're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated. Yesterday's a hard word for me.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
All good, Pam. Appreciate your support, though. Appreciate your support, Pam. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a wonderful night. Hope everything's okay.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well, I got to know. I've become an expert on guns.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis. I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful, give yourselves a round of applause. You're so lovely, everyone's so lovely.
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.
Always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me, he's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers. We'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
Never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
Where you going? Nowhere.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
He says, rectum damn near killed him.
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
What in the hell was that all about?
I'm just dandy. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones.
The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice. Each year, approximately 13,000 people are killed in car accidents in Thailand.
Bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
Cacophony, a crescendo, a finale, a coup de grace. My superpower's being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
Water coming here is dead.